Right, let's talk about this week's Coronation Street then. What are you doing to me, Corey? Stop mixing your storylines up. You're making it incredibly difficult this past few weeks to me and try and keep track and all neatly organised in a little text document, all the different stories going on. Because Nina has got her finger in many pies this week, hasn't she? She's in the Roy story, she's in the Kelly story, she's kind of in the Abi story a bit.
Do you reckon that you're going to have to switch to a different method, like just doing the days?
I don't know. It's like it was really, really difficult this week. I don't know how other people have done it, but I want to start off with
What do you mean how other people have done it?
How they categorise things in their mind, you know what I mean. Anyway, Tashes to Ashes will start off first. I know that's not the biggest news this week, what we're Roy rolling out of town, but we've got the Sam stuff first because it's important that gets mentioned before the other stuff. So once the Tashes to Ashes are done, we'll talk about the Roy rolls out of town. Is that an alright storyline title? My storyline titles are rubbish this week. And then that will also have a bit of Sam in there because of Abi.
How do you tell the difference between the rubbish ones and the good ones?
The ones that make you genuinely laugh are the good ones. Then we'll have the Trouble Free, which is our Kelly story. Then we got... I've called this...
Faye bale.
Like a hay bale? I don't know. Faye's out of prison, everybody. That was easy, wasn't it? Cinemax. That's the right storyline title for Max, isn't it? Cinemax is a thing. I think it's maybe a channel in America or something.
Isn't it rude?
What? Oh, it doesn't matter. Max is the next Steven Spielberg, everybody. He's got a storyline title named after him. Then we had just tiny little bits of others. So there's a little bit of the Smoke and Mirrors storyline. A little bit more that I'll have Zidane payment, please. And what the heck is that storyline doing? It's like once every 3 weeks they have to have a scene of Zidane being shady at the tills and then Hassan turning up at Victoria Gardens saying, no, you must launder all your money.
And Ryan's like, there's something suspicious.
Literally, they had that scene regular as clockwork once every 3
weeks.
I'm
pretty sure that they just keep getting this. Who plays Ryan?
Ryan Prescott.
He's like, oh, we haven't done this scene yet, guys.
He's like, is anyone getting any deja vu here?
I think we should do this scene that I'm in.
Here's some trivia that I got off my little notifications. I got a little to-do list that my one of my student teachers got me, and it's got little word facts on. You know, we got deja vu. Do you know what it's called? Now, what's the opposite of this? It's when you swear you haven't seen something, but you have, I think is what it's called. And it's called...
It's being thick.
The phenomenon is called jamais vu. Which means
you
never
seen.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before. After that, we've got the Daniel
You get that all the time.
What?
Michael, what you asked me what we're having for dinner? I told you earlier.
Yeah, I would just...
jamais vu.
That's what I'm going to call it now. It's just, I just got some jamais vu, we got the Daisy and Dan, which I somehow managed to get all this way into the story without actually coming up with a title for it.
There must be a phrase for husbands forgetting things, like, I asked you to take this
normal,
or do that, or I told you this information, or yes, my mum and dad are coming.
For Thanksgiving, yeah. And then we had the Grace stuff as well a little bit at the beginning. Right, I'm going to take the Tashes to Ashes story first, which is, again, not really to do with Natasha being dead anymore. It's more about Sam being silent, which he's been keeping up for a good month now or so, hasn't he?
Silent Sam.
Yeah. The silence of the Sams. There we go.
Aww.
There we go. That's all I needed. A little nudge.
Bless him.
I'm just going to change that right now. So, it wasn't George wonderful this week. I blimmin' loved George when he was like this.
George was doing an audition for a different programme.
He did an audition for a different character.
He was like, can I be somebody else in this
Can I be someone that's kind and caring and not a little bit buffoonish? So
he's like, I'm aging out of the older uncle into the elderly grandfather bracket, and I need to get some of this in my showreel. My agent says I really need to get some grandfatherly, like, Wonders of the Universe stuff in case they want to cast me as the new Doctor.
Yes, it could be. So he sees Nick on Monday and he's like, I've got an old telescope back at home. It's me dad. So Archie Shuttleworth's telescope made an appearance on Coronation Street this week.
Is this like canon? Did Archie...
No, it's not a cannon, it's a telescope.
It's confusing because they're the same shape.
That's right.
In the show, have we established previously to this that Archie Shuttleworth was a star peeper?
No, previously the only link between Archie Shuttleworth and space was the shuttle part of his name.
Very nice. So what I'm asking you is, was Archie Shuttleworth wasn't it at the same time as Curly Watts?
Yes.
The famously into space guy.
Yes.
And they never had a conversation about this.
Somehow.
So Archie Shuttleworth's like, I'm not going to mention because this guy is boring as hell, and I don't want to talk to him or be his friend.
Yeah, basically.
I love the idea that Archie Shuttleworth shaded Curly Watts. Like, he was probably in, like, the Weatherfield Stargazing Association, and he never even told him.
Yeah.
Curly's up there in his attic all by himself going, I wish I had a friend who liked space as much as me. And Archie's like, come on quickly, let's go past the house and get down to the Red Rack to watch the meteor shower.
Anyway, he's got this thing of his dad's. He's going to bring it round later so that Sam can do a bit of stargazing with him. Also, Roy's there and he's like saying to Nick, how's Sam doing them? Still really withdrawn, apparently. Nick tries to get Roy to get Sam to speak. There's a variety.
It's a whole week. It's
a
just
whole
them
week
trying
of
to trick
people trying.
Sam.
Tricking is the right word, isn't it?
But,
I mean, with Abby, it was sort of threatening to
listen,
bloody speak.
Screw bag. I'm going to punch you unless you tell me not to. Okay?
Yeah.
That's just how it goes. I think I recall reading, and I don't know if I misunderstood it. Something about a method, because I was reading last week all into
selective mutism.
Yeah, and how to strategies to try to overcome it. And one of the things I'm pretty sure was a classroom-based exercise where the child has something inside an envelope that they really want, and they're not allowed to open the envelope unless they say something in front of everybody, which sounds like the most horrific.
Yeah, I don't think Sam would have fallen for that.
Confrontational way of doing it.
I know.
What they need to do is like push him in a puddle or something, and he goes, "Oi, watch out!" And you go, "Ah, yeah, you can speak."
Well, I mean, Lily was nearly choking herself to death the other week, wasn't she? On the
But I
lollipop.
think he planned that.
So
yeah, but I just want to say we are making light of this, but obviously
you make light of everything.
There's lots of things that happen this week that are to do with mental health and people struggling with things and coping in different various ways or not coping, and we're going to make fun of
and that's our disclaimer.
Because we've been through our own things, and humour's a way of coping with them. So if you don't like it, you should turn off. Just to say. I
really thought it was funny, and I should have copied down the script, but Roy tries in a very, very long-winded way to get Sam to choose whether he wants a chocolate or a strawberry milkshake, doesn't he? And it was a brilliant little script where he just can't get him to say it.
I can't believe that there's a kid who's offering the gift of silence to every adult he comes across, and they're just not taking the bait.
Especially Sam.
I would love this. I'd be like, oh my, you know what? I'll babysit this kid whenever you like, for as long as you like. Oh, in fact, you want me to adopt him? I will. This is the perfect child.
Yeah, toiling in my
He's obviously, he's nice and quiet, he's petite, and he's going to make a crap load of money doing some kind of weird computer stuff when he gets old enough.
I know, perfect.
He'll buy Mama a mansion. New Mama Gemma, his dearest parent.
You're going to adopt, are you?
Yes.
We did send Jude a Christmas card, didn't we, as well? So that's your way in. That's your way in. He drew you a picture of a bus last year, Jude Jordan.
He
actually.
did. That's
was it a bus?
right.
Was it a train? I can't remember. Or was it a tram?
It was a train.
It was a lovely picture, whatever it was that Jude sent us.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah, he's
anyway,
so adorable.
Fantastic. So he comes round, George does, with his telescope later, and then Nick. I can't remember how it happened. Was he just like surprised when the doorbell rang or something? But he knocks the memory jar off of the table.
Just flailed his arms around
sucks,
like he normally does.
And Sam, this is starting to work with George. He starts to get a bit curious about this new telescope. Sam, yes.
No, you said it's starting to work with George.
Sam, it's starting to work with Sam. And he doesn't react to the smashed jar. He just kind of grabs all the bits of paper that he's put in there with his messages about his mum and heads into the room. And I can't remember. Nick did read one of these out later, didn't he? Yeah. I wish the last thing I'd said to you had been something different. Yeah. And we were talking about this on the podcast last week, and I was saying it is a message jar to mum, and you were saying no, it's not a mummy message jar.
I thought it was a memory jar.
But yeah, but going back to a memory jar again, aren't we? It is a mummy message jar, not a mummy memory.
I don't know if that's healthy.
What?
I don't know if it's healthy to have a message jar. Because he
knows it's not real.
Does he? He is a child.
Yes.
I understand, but there's sometimes that letting go of something is just as important, isn't it?
Mm.
And I think a memory jar puts it in, she's dead, just to remind you.
Yeah. It's also
just to remind you.
Not healthy to have a smashed one all over the floor as well, especially if you're walking around barefoot. So Nick, hope you're going to clean that up quickly.
No, it was the trick.
Mm?
And Sam's going, ow.
Oh, yes. He should.
You can speak. I knew it.
Yeah, he collects them all up the bit of paper apart from this one that says, I wish the last thing I'd said you had been something different. Or
I don't remember what it was he said. Make my breakfast.
No. Well, he saw his mum in the hospital room, didn't he?
No, yeah.
When before
he
she
didn't
got
say
wheeled
he
off.
loved her.
No, exactly.
Oh, bless him.
So they go and set up this telescope. Nick George is gone at this point because we had a couple of evenings of this. Leanne says he had a lovely time, and Nick's a little bit sarky. He says, "Oh yeah, Sam told you I had a nice time, did he?" And then they have the reminiscence. I'd forgotten about this. The bit where Ollie also couldn't speak for a bit last year, and they were like, "Do you remember? when we went to the petting zoo that was definitely not Heaton Park? Do you remember that cow that was definitely there, even though we didn't show it?" And we were like, "Oh, that's when Ollie got moo." And then Nick and Leanne were saying, "He said moo. He said moo." Remember that
They're
scene?
getting a lot of mileage
Brilliant.
out of that moo scene, aren't they?
They really, really are.
For a scene that didn't actually have a cow in it.
Yeah.
They're milking it quite a lot.
So Nick says that he really misses Sam wittering on. Wednesday.
Do you reckon this is just like the scriptwriter's way of going, look, we've crafted some beautiful dialogue for this character, and we've even had to go and look stuff up on Wikipedia for all of his facts and stuff. And all we get on the internet is, oh, Sam's getting a bit boring now. I'm getting fed up with Sam saying all these facts all the time. Well, how about this? No more Sam talk. How do you like that now? You're going to be begging us to write some obscure space facts.
I do wonder how long is he going to keep it up? Like every time something happened this week,
maybe
I was like,
oh,
he's going to speak now.
It'll be a Christmas miracle.
Oh,
You'll be like, oh, Leanne, the turkey's dry.
They're going to give him all these amazing presents. And if he doesn't say thank you, that's just rude, isn't it?
It is rude.
Yeah, I think you're right. God, can he really go for another month? That'd be 2 months without speaking. Maybe you'll just have a bit of time off screen. Anyway, Wednesday, Sam's got the meeting, hasn't he? What was it? Was it like a psychologist, psychiatrist, counsellor? That kind of meeting,
It was
anyway.
a script meeting.
And
look, you've got to read this out. It's written down now.
No, I can't do it. Nick starts getting a bit reminiscent of when he was getting angry about his dad Brian being killed, and when his dad's killer showed back up on the street in the late 90s, and he wanted him dead, and he doesn't want Sam to have all that anger filling him up and bubbling up inside him. So they go to their counsellors meeting, whatever it was, come back. And then Sam kind of wanders off to stare in the Undertaker's window, which is a little bit creepy. But it turns out that he's also putting a little secret note under the door of the Shuttleworths, so saying, "Can you come round my flat later and we can look at the stars again?" Which is quite cool. So he is communicating in a way, isn't he? Which is that this was part of the conversation last week where Leanne was saying, no, he wouldn't drop a telescope out of the balcony because he doesn't communicate. Well, he definitely communicates with George.
Yeah,
he's a lovely uncle.
Yeah, there was a weird thing about saying that he doesn't communicate in any manner whatsoever. But that's not what selective mutualism is really about.
I don't think so. So anyway, George and Sam watched some nice shooting stars together, some nice CGI shooting stars. Yeah, and George is good. It was a really, really lovely scene. This is the George that I like. Comedy George is fine. George with Eileen is fine.
He's got great range as an actor.
He does. I think he does. I think he does. It's nice that he's spreading out from just being in the funeral parlour as well now.
It suits his character too. I think that it felt honest.
Well, Archie was so lovely, wasn't he? And I'm getting a bit of Archie vibes from some of what George does as well, which is nice. George starts talking about the Arizona crater as well, and the wonders of the universe. He's like, he does a bit of Brian Cox, doesn't he?
Look at the stars.
Hey, isn't
aren't
the
they
universe
amazing?
great?
You imagine if all the darkness is just millions and millions of miles of space.
Sam is loving it, and he's having a little smile. It was so sweet. That was my scene of the week. That was absolutely.
Do you not find space creepy?
Yes.
I don't know how anyone can look at it and go, wow. I just look at it and get this existential dread. Like, wow, yeah, nothing matters. Nothing matters. Like, there could be a massive ball of gas that just burns out of the sun and kills us all, and the universe wouldn't care or notice.
I saw that they're sending up a little probe or something, not a probe, a little satellite or something to try and knock a meteor off course.
Oh God, don't tell me that.
It's not heading towards us. They're just
trying to see if they can nudge it towards us.
No. They've found a meteor and they're giving it a bit of a nudge just to see can we actually do it. And it
because they want to harvest They want to harvest stuff off of meteors.
No, this one is just to nudge it.
Yeah, because
If one was going to smash into us,
yeah, but
could
I'm
we
sure
knock it off course?
they also want to see if they can get near it enough to say, could we land on this?
Or maybe.
But I don't understand it because they're like, oh, it's got loads of precious rare minerals that would be worth millions of pounds. Not if you've got a massive meteor of it. It won't be.
Anyway, all I know about space is that when you're there, nobody can hear you scream. But that doesn't matter for Sam, because he's not screaming or anything at the moment. I think he is literally in a vacuum, isn't he? Anyway.
See, the thing is about that, how do you interpret that? Do you interpret that as like if space is lonely or space is a vacuum and there is no sound?
That one.
I think you're supposed to take it more poetically. Could be.
Anyway, that was lovely, but that's the situation that Sam's up to by this point of the week. So I'm gonna end his story there, although he does continue later on with Abi. But yeah, just awesome stuff with George. I absolutely love.
Yeah,
this.
George really shone like a star, didn't he?
Oh yes.
Oh, like a little shooting star he was. Very
a big
nice.
old ball of gas. So now we got the Roy rolls out of town story, Gemma, and I'm passing over to you. What is going on with Mr. Cropper here this week?
Wow, this was came out of nowhere for me. What did you think? 1 minute.
Well, I'd kind of seen. What had I seen? I'd seen something. I think I might have seen Roy's possibly selling. I don't know where I think I might have had it pop up somewhere. So I wasn't completely taken by surprise.
Just popped up on your phone. Like I get Sky News alerts about horrible tragedies in the channel, and you get like, watch out, Roy's leaving.
I can't remember where I saw it. Anyway, go on.
Monday, Fringe McBangs is over at number 13, quizzing Abi about the gun that was used to kill Natasha, and says it was used in a raid that was carried out by Tez, who just so happens to be your ex. That's a bit of a coincidence. And then she says, did your ex supply you with a gun? And Abi's like, no. Later on, Abi meets up with Tez, who says, the police are looking for me, and if I get arrested, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut. I'm going to tell everybody what happened, if it gets me out of stuff, just so you know. Roy's watching them both together, looking very suspicious. Abi gets mad about this. She's at Mardy at work, and she tells Kevin what's happening. Nick is talking about the fact that he hopes that they find the person who has the gun, who was responsible for having the gun, and the police are onto it, and he thinks it's making people nervous, and he's talking, I'm pretty sure he's talking
to Roy at this point, isn't it?
Sam?
No, he's talking to Roy at this.
I think that he's having a milkshake.
This is the milkshake scene with Roy, where Roy's saying, do you want a strawberry or a chocolate
yeah,
one?
Well,
and
he's
they're talking
there,
about it with
but
Roy, and Roy's going, I'm feeling nervous about this.
Yeah, I know, but obviously Nick's concerned about this because he perhaps thinks that if whoever supplied the gun is sort of revealed, then maybe it might knock Sam out of his stupor, perhaps.
I don't know, because I mean, Sam.
Well, it's some kind of progress, isn't it?
Sam said before that the only person that he blames for his mother's death is Harvey.
Yeah, but if it turns out that actually Abi gave Harvey the gun, he might feel differently about it.
Might not want to go for a round kickabout with her.
Might.
Next.
Right. Kevin meets up with Tez in Villain's Alley, and he says, look, leave Abi out of this, don't tell the police, she's fallen apart, she needs life to go back to normal, and if you dub her in, you're not just sending her to prison, you're killing her. And I want to go on honeymoon.
Yeah.
Roy goes over to see Abi, and he talks to her about this exchange that he saw between her and Tez, and he's like, is this about the gun and the police? He says
it was a distressed debate.
Abi says, yeah, but don't worry about it, I'm dealing with it. And Roy's like, no, you're just going to make it worse by trying to blackmail people and bribe your way out of it, which is the whole problem in the first place. And Abi's just getting stressed out, like, don't have a go at me. This is bad enough as it is without you having a go. Can you imagine being in trouble and having done something wrong, and Roy, just relentlessly morally upstanding Roy, just haunting you at every turn, reminding you that you're a crap human being. I never do anything wrong. Back in the cafe, Roy is getting stressed out because Kirk wants...
That was a funny
Kirk comes in and he's going on about toad in the hole is cheaper than a sausage. He would like to have the toad in the hole without the toad.
Yeah,
without the hole.
He wants sausage at toad prices.
And Roy's like, have you seen the menu here? I couldn't sell this any cheaper. I don't know
This
what
is what you
think.
noticed when Nina was having her panic attack in the end of today's episode, didn't you?
Yeah.
It kept zooming in.
I very often look, because I love menus, and I like looking at menus, and I'm always fascinated.
Like eating things off menus.
Yeah, but I also I'm very interested in menus. And I'm fascinated with Roy's prices on his menu and what he serves in there.
And how they haven't changed in the past 20 years.
Nobody's gone in and like gone, hey guys, like they've moved sets. Somebody could have gone, do you think $2.75 for curry and rice is a realistic price? You can't even buy a ready meal for that much in some places. Anyway, yeah, that was funny. Roy gets stressed out. Then Abney comes in with more questions about the sinkhole collapse.
Yeah, this is just Roy kind of losing it gradually over Monday and Wednesday's episode, isn't it? Yeah.
Abby comes into the cafe and stuff happens.
Roy's saying that, I've had to lie for you again. I'm so ashamed of myself. Leave me alone. He didn't want anything to do with her. Gemma's doing very well with my notes this week because I'm realising as we're going through here that I didn't quite turn all of my notes into full sentences.
These are the notes that Michael's left for me to make sense of as I'm also trying to do a podcast. Abby comes to the cafe, lied to her again, can't pay him back, deeply ashamed, leave alone.
I'm sorry, I thought
That was pretty good.
And up next we have Abby home, Kev saw Tez, Abby's worried.
Yeah.
What was that all about? Go. Abby comes home and Kevin says, I saw Tez, and Abby's worried about it.
Yeah,
that's
the only way
Makes
you
can perfect sense.
Make sense of that. Well, look, Michael, you work very hard and I appreciate you making the notes.
This is when, I think these are the days when we're eating whilst watching Coronation Street.
I'm sorry, it's my fault. Billy sees Imran and tells him about seeing Kelly earlier. Well, it could have been somebody else, but it did look a bit like her, and Imran says she's going to call Laura.
Oh, sorry, that's the other
Imran.
Story. I told you the stories.
It's okay.
Oh, gosh, it's all going wrong this week. People are all going to defect.
I tell you what, if this is as bad as it gets, I think we're all right. Because it could get a lot worse, let's face it. Roy is... No, this is... Okay, right. Roy shutting up, smashes, leave it, is the same gun. Needn't have happened. Nina can't blame himself. I'm not.
I don't even know what.
Nina can't blame himself, even. Anyway,
Nina tells Roy that you can't blame yourself for what's been going on here, Roy.
Roy says, like, look, I'm not, I'm blaming
myself,
you.
I blame you, exactly.
You made me keep the secret. I also blame myself for believing that I could reason with Abby, and I can't live with this. I need to be alone.
I need to go to South America to do some cooking. Please.
There's nobody in South America. Abney goes round to number 13 again.
Abney, not Abby, yeah.
I said Abney.
No, just...
Tez has been arrested, and he's also said it was all me.
That's quite handy and convenient, isn't it? Good old Kev.
I really like the way...
So intimidating, that Kevin, isn't it?
Kevin has managed to make Tez appeal to his morality and sense of fair play and justice.
Tez is quaking in his boots at Kevin Webster.
I'll never get a cheap MOT again.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I was Tez, I'd be like, when I'm out of prison, you're doing my car anything needs doing to it for free for the rest of my life. That's worth it. Yeah. I'd go to prison for about a year for that. Wouldn't you? Would you go to prison for a year to
there is stuff going wrong with my car at the moment, isn't there? We had our car in the garage today because the tyre pressure light keeps coming on, even though we filled it up with air. And I think it's something to do with the fact that they changed the tyre. They put a new tyre on.
They buggered around with it, and they always do this.
Yeah, they did. They gave me a new tyre a month ago, and since then the tyre pressure light's not been going off.
It's like when
they said we can't find anything wrong with it. You have to deal with it.
It's very mysterious to me that you take the car in there and it's fine, and you say, "Please MOT and service this," which I pay you for, and then it comes out and suddenly something doesn't work every single time.
It's not every single time.
Remember that time that the window didn't work?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Occasionally it happens, but anyway.
Every time.
So now I have a faulty light.
Well, just ignore it.
Take it around to Kevin, he'll deal with it. Tyrone will have to deal with it now because Kev's on honeymoon.
That's true. Yeah. Luckily, he's got nothing else going on. Anyway, Tez is like, yeah, the gun, I don't remember where I got it from or who I sold it to or anything like that. Abney knows it was Abby, and she says, she kind of gives her a hard time, and but she leaves anyway. And then Abby breaks down because she blames herself for Natasha's death, and the only reason that she got it away with it was because Roy had to lie, and everyone knows that this is giving him moral indigestion.
Oh, nice.
Roy's sitting alone in the darkened cafe, then he gets his bag and he walks out and he goes to Adam in the lawyer's office and he says, he sees Imran there, and he says, I want to sell the cafe and I want to give it and the flat and everything I own to Nina. Ooh. Except the Woody. I'm going to sell that. She's not getting that.
Yeah.
That was bizarre. It was like, everything I own apart from this one thing that I'm going to get really weird about.
That is true. I didn't even notice that. Why he didn't leave.
He needs some money for the plane ticket.
That's really funny. I like that Roy and Imran had a scene together. Have they ever had a scene together before? That was very nice. Two of our favourites. Acting it up together.
I know. I can only hope that Charlie picks up some tips from David Nielsen. He's the greatest actor on the show at the moment, because he did say he put his award out so that other people could be inspired. Yeah, that was hilarious. So maybe now Charlie has somebody to look up to finally. On Wednesday, Roy cannot bear to see Nina so forlorn. Oh. He apologises for accusing her yesterday. She's very relieved, and then he says, you mean the world to me, but I cannot burden you with my guilt and pain anymore. Then he goes off to the garage to ask Abi if he can sell the Woody, and she's like, why? And he's like, look, I'm going to sell it. I want it sold. I don't care who to.
Did they even show the Woody this week, or did they just talk about it? I
think that Corrie has broken it, or something. Like somebody in the props department's like, who knows someone on the script department, can you just write it out? Because I actually don't know where it is.
See,
I'm sure I took it to the shop, but I think I left it there.
I have to say, I'm not particularly worried about the fact that Roy's buggered off this week. He'll be back, because that wasn't his end, was it? But I am starting to get a bit concerned that we will never see the Woody again on Coronation Street.
It's like the Paperboy. They threaten it and then they bring him back without a fanfare. And I'm so thick I didn't even notice. So she's like, Abby's like, oh yeah, I know a guy who collects them.
I know a guy who collects Woodies.
What, cars, or that specific car? How much money has this man got, and how much space has he got to just collect the same car over and over again?
She thinks she's talking about the hot Christmas toy of 1996.
Oh, the Woody. Yeah, I know. I've got a guy who can shift that. It's got Andy written on it, as long as it's an original. She tells him about the Tez news, but he doesn't want to talk about it. He leaves her the keys and says he's got a lot to get done today. He's being very mysterious and weird. And I said to you, I was like, are we supposed to think he's going to kill himself? Abby comes into the cafe later to tell him she's found a buyer, but he's not there. So she tells Nina, and he's like, what? He'd never do that. He'd never sell that car. And Nina says to Abby that Roy's been on edge for weeks and he's not coping, and she's getting very worried about him. Then Adam comes into the cafe to say to Nina, oh yeah, I need to talk to you about the legal stuff about you taking over the cafe. And she's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh yeah, he's leaving you the cafe. And she's like, what, in his will? And Adam's like, no, now. He's giving it to you now. Do you not know about this? And she's like freaking out. She goes to the garage. She's all a flap. That's good. Good phrase.
Thanks.
She does a lot of that this week, doesn't she?
There's a lot of flapping about.
Thinking Roy is about to kill himself. And they use the phrase take his own life, which you're not supposed to use the phrase committed suicide anymore, because it has lots of bad connotations, but it doesn't leave you with many other things and ways and euphemisms that really...
They think that he's going to come a cropper.
Yeah, because we will often say on the podcast, we usually say kill himself or herself, because I feel that it's silly to kind of pussyfoot around what it is, and I think that euphemisms can sometimes hurt people more than they help them. But it's also very brutal, isn't it? But take his own life is also a bit of a weird kind of phrasing in that moment.
Just call a spade, that's what I say.
There's obviously a better way of describing it than the way we have been doing it, like, as though it's a crime, which it was, in the past. It's just interesting. I just thought the semantics that we used were kind of stood out to me a little bit because of all the stuff that I've been doing myself about how to speak about certain things. But I don't think there's any one way, and I think as long as you've thought about what it is you're saying and why you have chosen to say it that way, I think it's fine.
Me too.
I know you do. She's worried that he has taken his own life, or he's planning to, or maybe he's already done it, and they need to hurry up and find him before it's too late. Then we get Daniel tricking Kelly. Is this the right story?
This is to do with Kelly. This is not the right story. No.
Nina searches the flat.
I really tried hard with
No,
this.
it's fine. Don't worry.
Oh, dear.
Everyone's on board with you, okay? Michael's had a very tough week at work, everybody. Very tough.
Oh dear. Carry on.
And he's got crazy...
I have to remember this to be later.
I
Come
know.
on, let's just keep
Just what I'm
this in my
thinking.
head.
Listen, Nina searches the flat. Roy hasn't taken anything with him, which is, is that good or bad? So
It's bad if you're Nina. It's like, God, it's going to take me months to get rid of all this.
Oh, Roy, you've left your skull. Sure you don't need that in South America, sorry.
Oh dear.
It's like, no, I'll get one when I'm there.
Literally, she just needs to chuck a lit match, put paraffin all over his flat, light it, and then start again.
Oh, Roy, there was a mysterious fire. Yeah, what would you do if you didn't know how long he's going to be? Because, if he's gone for, the weekend and he comes back and you've put all his stuff in bin bags by the charity shop, he might be offended.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you could be there for months with all this crap.
Mm.
You don't know, she might like train sets. Anyway, she phones up Carla and leaves a message. Oh no, he's got involved in something, and I don't know where he is, and I'm really, really worried. But then Roy comes in and she puts the phone down and she starts jabbering at him, oh, don't end your life, don't end your life. And I was like, no, I'm not going to, but I am going to leave Weatherfield tonight. I'm going to work as a chef in South America. No more questions.
I can't remember. He did go more into detail than that, who he's chefing for. It's not
It does sound like a story that you might give as an alibi
Yeah.
if you're in a crime documentary.
He's not being personal chef of the drugs lord of Rio or anything like that.
That was laborious. You got that, didn't you?
He's a mate of Jacob's, so he
Okay.
passed his contacts on.
So he's like, I see Sam every day and it torments me as indeed it should. And Nina's like, no, you don't need to go, don't leave, blah blah blah. I think he's being a bit of a dickhead, to be honest, because she was
really she was terrified, wasn't she? She was so distressed about the idea about him leaving. She's like, don't go, please.
He is the last
I'm going.
person left.
What?
In her family.
Yeah.
She is a
Mum's dead, Dad's dead.
She's a young girl. She doesn't have any support. She doesn't have any adults in her life apart from him. And he's like, oh, I just feel really sad about that kid who can't speak. And he'll be talking by Christmas, Roy. What are you doing?
Mm.
And also leaving her to run a business.
I know. I mean, she's been working there for... excuse me, a bit of a hiccup there. She's been working there for a good 1.5 years, 2 years now, hasn't she?
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that at a drop of a hat she can suddenly become
run the business.
manager, owner.
And I mean, I know that her wooden spoon innovation was quite fun and quirky, but that's the only time she's ever done anything.
That is the only contribution she's made, isn't that? A spoon that says, come and sit with me, please.
And a spoon that says it's COVID now.
Yeah, don't
Use
come
your
in.
own table.
And a spoon you hit somebody over if they're getting too close to you. The 2 metre long spoon.
Yeah, it's not great, is it? But okay. Nina finds Carla in the pub and tells her about Roy. And then we have a gathering of Fizz, Ches, Carla, Kathy, Brian and Nina all outside the cafe, just safely distanced from each other and indeed Roy, trying to convince him.
That didn't look right, did it? It was
not
a bit...
to. There's too many glare. The thing is, there's loads of interior scenes where they're right up in each other's business now. When Kevin was going, please can we go away? I don't care about your problems. Let's go on honeymoon. And he was hugging her and everything. And then when they're actually outside, where you would assume it's probably less important to distance, they were like, hey, Roy, see you.
It was kind of sweet, but also kind of cheesy and awkward, wasn't it? Kathy's like, oh, remember that story where we nearly got married, and probably half the people watching went, oh, what? And the other half are going, oh yeah, that was weird, wasn't it?
She says, I'm glad we didn't get married in the end because I like you as a friend. What a burn.
I know. That's it's like Roy knows what it's like to be Craig now, doesn't it? In the friend zone with Faye.
Yeah.
Where else was there? Carla was saying, oh, my dad's dead. I really love you.
She's like, I can't believe another man has left everything in his will to somebody else. I thought I was your surrogate daughter.
Yeah.
My dad's dead, left Jenny for 20 grand. You've buggered off to South America, you're leaving her for your flat and your cafe. Bye then.
Yeah, Aidan probably left all his to Susie.
This is the trouble, Carla. You act too self-sufficient. Anyway, everyone's like, Roy said great. Carla's trying to persuade him not to leave.
Character.
Why do you want to go anyway? What And then she gets suspicious because she got that weird voicemail from Nina.
Yeah, saying
and
that Roy's getting into something
he's got
dark.
dragged into something.
He's found my Cradle of Filth CD, Carlo. I can't get him to stop playing it on repeat now. I don't know what he's going to do.
He's just got really dark and moody, and he started asking if I can borrow my eyeshadow. And I'm like, no, Roy, once you go down that route, there's no going back. So she everyone's trying to stop him from leaving. I don't think Carla finds out at this stage. But eventually, Roy's like locks up, gets into the taxi. He's saying, "It's my only hope for peace. I need to go away and atone for what I've done." Why put this on South America? What can they do for you, Roy? What spiritual enlightenment are you going to find in South America that you could not find in Skegness?
I want to see him at the Rio Carnival. I want to see him with like sparkles and spangles and everything.
I just want to see him
dancing
Everyone's
down
like,
the streets.
cha 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 cha, cha 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 cha, with their big feathers, and he's just there with his bag following, going, "Everyone's unique in their own way. I'm the most special one in the parade because I'm just me." Anyway, he's not listening to
How's
anybody.
your cough doing, Gemma? I think people are wondering. You got a bit of frog in your throat today.
I do.
We're not particularly suffering so much anymore with our.
I feel fine now. I've just got this frog in my throat. Or is it a toad? Or are they the same thing?
Is it a sausage? Is it a toad in the whole sort of sausage?
It's a hole or a sausage. No, hang on. It's a toad or a hole.
We're missing a very important thing that happens at the end of Wednesday's episode.
Everybody.
Roy gets in a taxi and goes.
Yeah, she says, "You're the only person in the world I trust. I love you. You said you'd always look out for me." And he's like, "Sorry, bitch."
He basically does, doesn't he? He's like, "No, I've decided actually. Bye."
He's like, "Look,
have a nice life."
They can't cook their own food in South America. They're all waiting for me to get there. I don't know what it is they eat. I guess it's rice and peas and beans.
I don't know. I'm sure they have a fine cuisine in South America.
I'm certain they do.
Brazil nuts.
He rolls
and chilies
off down the cobbles. Very New World food. Potatoes. Yeah, how about that? Turkeys.
Yeah.
Yams.
He was. I can't remember. Did you see on Twitter? Somebody added us into it today. They had a picture of Roy in the back of a taxi.
Yeah, on Twitter.
Yeah.
Whiskers the cow or something.
Oh yeah, that's right, wasn't it? And it was there was like a caption as if he was leaving. Come dine with me.
It was really funny. It does not got enough likes. For
No,
how
it
funny
hasn't.
It was.
We tried to retweet it and everything. It made me chuckle. It took me a little while to get it.
It's fun.
But I did it.
If you want to see it, we retweeted it.
Yes.
So give it a like. On Friday, Abi cannot believe that Roy's gone and it's all her fault. And Kevin says, "Don't worry about it." He literally is like, "Look, it's a real turn off for me when you talk about stuff that isn't about me, Kevin. And what we're having for tea."
No, he is thinking of her. He doesn't want her to spiral downwards again. He doesn't want her going off cooking the teas of the people in South America.
I know.
He's going to cook his
He's
tea.
getting worried now. He's like, Roy's a professional and he's gone. Who's next? I think, I feel the same way now about Kevin as I do about Tim. Where everything he does, I'm just like looking for a way that I can twist it to make him look bad. And Kevin's is just like...
Tim.
He says, "Don't beat yourself up about it. Me and Jack need you." Oh, if that's the main reason. Debbie says, "What to Kevin? Go off on honeymoon."
Yeah, this is the bit where Kevin's like, "Can't go on honeymoon. It's November." Forgetting that in some parts of the world, it's
like
not,
South America,
it's not miserable and dreary and grey. In fact, at the moment in Weatherfield, it's looking quite nice. It's looking quite mid-September-y with Kelly on the street at the moment, isn't it?
I can't believe, like...
Also, Kevin, look at him. He looks like he's come back from the Algarve every weekend.
I know.
He's got such a tan.
He goes in his private jet. I can't believe that Kevin is such a Neanderthal, thicko, brain-dead moron that he literally cannot conceive of going on holiday in November. Like, the idea doesn't exist in his brain. Like, what? You can't go on holiday in November? What do you mean? Kevin, they've invented aeroplanes. What are you talking about? You're actually
He's got
mad.
married so many times. Anyway, surely one of them must have, just statistically, one of them must have been in October, November time. Must have done it before.
Does he know that there's another hemisphere of this planet? Anyway, that gives him the idea. So really, it's Debbie's fault.
Yeah.
Leanne is this story? With Sam.
Yes, this is where it kind of segues back into the Sam story because Abi comes into it later. It's Ollie's death day today, isn't it? A year ago, we were watching old Leanne press the off button.
I
Pulling
don't
the
think
plug.
that's how they do it.
Smothering with a pillow. Letting him
It's
go.
like, how would you like to do it? You can pull the plug out. There's a big button we can press, but it does go, ooga! So I don't know if you want to do it that way.
Bring down the guillotine.
How insensitive of you. So she's there. She is struggling. Toya gives her some flowers. Later on, Abi sees them on the way to drop the flowers at the grave. And she says, oh, would Sam like to come around with Jack?
I like how you said drop the flowers at the grave. Like they walk into the grave and just like chuck them.
She's
There
like,
you
right,
go,
done
Wallo.
that. Let's go to McDonald's. Let's do it. Go on and get a festive pie.
Oh, you had your festive pie last week. You wanted a festive pie.
I've wanted a festive pie for years. The first time I ever heard of them, we went through a drive-through, and they didn't put it in the bag, and we were like driving home from Coventry, so that was that. Then COVID happened, and they stopped making them, and now they brought them back, and I can finally have one.
Yeah.
And it's delicious. And if you don't live in the UK, sorry, Michael's just applauding the cat jumping into the wardrobe.
He just did a really big jump up to the top of the wardrobe.
Anyway, festive pie is a McDonald's, and in America, I know you guys don't get fried pies, which I don't think is fair, but in England, in Britain, UK, we have nice fried apple pies, but there's a fried pie, and inside is custard and mincemeat. Not minced meat, no, delicious raisins and
disgusting
sugar. Oh, so delicious.
We're having more and more little side discussions about food on the podcast. We even like it's
because of Thanksgiving. I'm so excited and hyped up.
There are even a couple of threads about pizza flavours and pepperoni and bin pizzas on the
I can't stop
Facebook
thinking
group
about
this week,
food.
wasn't there?
I'm obsessed with it. It's because we got a chest freezer as well. Was that Monday?
Yeah,
yes,
we
got a chest
about
freezer
that on, the bonus
on
podcast
Monday,
this
and
week.
we spent so much money, and I keep going in there and looking at it.
Do you? Opening the fresh chest freezer, like the case in Reservoir. Was it? No, what was it? Was it one with the?
Yeah,
Is it
the
Reservoir
case.
Dogs with the case?
Yeah,
no,
with
it's
the
Pulp
gold.
Fiction with the case. It's Pulp Fiction.
It's a Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
What am I talking about?
Laying flowers on Ollie's grave.
Anyway, I made a load of bolognese. Yes. They carefully lay the flowers. Is that better?
Yes.
On the grave, but we don't get to see that.
Presumably.
We presume. But meanwhile, Abby's offering to have Sam round with Jack because they're like so alike. They can both kind of have a conversation about what it's like to be a completely different size to everybody else their age.
Jack is definitely supposed to be like, I'm gonna say a year or two maybe older than Sam, but maybe not that much. They're old enough to be able to play football or whatever it was together, aren't they? Which is what they're doing with Abi later on. They're down by the garage and they're playing a football checking game.
Yeah, Abby's like using all of her powers of manipulation, which are incredibly feeble and weak, to try to trick Sam into saying something. So she's like, hey Sam, let's play a game where you throw the ball in the air and then you have to say one of our names and then we have to head it back to you and you can like trick us and use misdirection and like look at me but say Jack's name and stuff like that, and it'll be fun. And
she's just desperately trying to atone for herself, isn't
well, she
she?
wants him to go back to normal so that she doesn't feel guilty anymore.
Yeah, every time that she looks at his little sad, silent face.
Yeah, and Jack's like, I don't think he wants to play this.
No, I don't think he wants to play this.
Abi, leave it out, love. I think he's done with this. Anyway, Jack's like, I don't think he wants to play anymore. She's like, no, he has to speak. And she like goes right up to him. She's like, "Speak to me!" And then Kevin comes out. He's like, "Oi!" Isn't he? He's like, "Oi! What are you up to? Leave it at." Back at home.
Can't relate.
I can. It's my people.
Kevin doing his Danny Dyer impression.
Hey, calm down. Can I get a soap award in it? Back at home again. Abi is crying about the thought of Sam losing his mum because of her. And Kevin's like, yeah, but let's go on holiday. Let's just go on holiday. That's basically what he says. His solution is, I know it's a bummer to see Sam looking miserable, so why don't we go where he's not?
Works for me.
There's another hemisphere. Did you know? We can go across the equator and it's warm. So
He should really go off on holiday to like where Sophie is, or Rosie maybe.
Sophie, Rosie.
Put kettle on.
Yeah, but Japan's
We're not
cold.
playing for 10 hours.
Japan's cold as well.
Bali's
they
not
go.
there, Sophie, isn't she? I don't know.
I thought that was where Kate was. Did Kate and...
I thought Sophie went off together. Anyway.
They go together. And Kevin hurries her into the car because at that moment Kelly is making her return. What's that? Kelly's back?
Spoiler.
You'll have to wait until we talk about that bit.
Yes. So.
Can I blow my nose?
Yes, you can.
Can you mute it or something?
I will just press the mute button. Go. Oh, that was a great blow there. Yeah, that was muted. I'm pretty sure that was probably muted. Maybe. Hopefully. We'll find out. I don't know. Listener, did you hear Gemma blow her nose there? It was great.
Oh,
so,
okay, that's good then. If I need to cough, I'll press that button.
No, don't. Right. Is Roy leaving, Gemma? What do you think? And you said you didn't know that any of this was coming up.
I didn't know.
A bit of a surprise for
I'm
you.
like, whatever.
I wish it had been a surprise for me. I'm still doing
yeah,
pretty
but
well with the spoilers.
It wasn't. Yeah, but this is the thing. There's a bit of a weird double-edged sword with all of this with me, because if I don't know or have not heard that somebody's leaving, because normally I will find out, unless Coronation Street has made a conscious decision to keep it a secret, somehow you'll tell me, or someone else will tell me, or I'll read it somewhere, or it'll come to me, or you'll say in like a street talk thing, at Cabin Extra or whatever, you'll tell me that somebody's leaving, so I'll know. But then when you get something like this, where somebody's leaving, and I know that they're not, because I haven't heard that they are, I'm like, well, no.
I'm wondering...
He'll be back.
That's what I mean.
I just think he's going on holiday or something. Like David
characters
like,
always bog off for a little bit. Like, you know, Faye went to prison for 6 months.
I just find it really inconsistent, and I know it's not really their fault, but it's really inconsistent the way that we get told. Sometimes it's like sometimes they make a conscious effort to say we have to explain where Roy's not going to be in it for 2 months. What should we do? Well, we have to do a big scene. But then they'll have people like Imran and Toya in it for like a year, not saying anything and appearing in the background with a Costa coffee or something.
Another good jump from Abi there. No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there will be unexplained absences because of scheduling or storyline issues, or there will be somebody going on holiday or taking a break to do a play, or I don't know.
This has just been weird because I've been having a little look on the Corrie social media and stuff, and there hasn't been anything about, oh, that was David Nilsson's last scene, Roy's gone, let's look at Roy's best moments, let's do a Ta-ra farewell Roy special on ITV, which can only lead one to assume that he's not going and David Nilsson is just going for a break for a bit. But that's odd as well, because you remember when he did that stage play a couple of years ago and he had his big beard and his fez and everything.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was a big thing was made about, oh, don't worry everybody, he's not going, he's just going to go and tread the boards for a little bit. But I don't think we've heard anything here, so I think Corrie wants to kind of keep us guessing. So I'm not particularly worried about it, but also in the little back of my head, I'm thinking, could he be having an Emily Bishop moment here? Because when Eileen Derbyshire left the show, when was that, 2013 or so, she was like, bye everybody, I'm just off to South America for a little bit.
I'm going to do
I'm going to do some charity work in Brazil. I'll be back though. And we thought, okay, maybe she's going to be back. And then kind of the weeks and the months and whatever went on. And like, hang on a minute, is Emily going to come back? And then she never did. She just had a little Zoom call for Ken's 80th birthday. And there is definitely a possibility that this could unintentionally be the end of Roy. I still don't think it is, because
I'm like 20% this could be the end of Roy.
Yeah, I probably would put myself about a similar percentage. I don't think it really is, but it's not impossible.
I wouldn't even know whether David Nilsson necessarily maybe has decided himself.
Yeah.
I would imagine that he's going to do the same thing again. Go off and do a play or whatever.
Yeah, that's what
Or is he going to be in a panto?
I don't think Roy would... would be in a panto. It's just odd how they're being a bit quiet about it. But, I mean, we do have to prepare ourselves for the fact that, you know, David Nilsson is 72 now. He's not going to be in the show forever. Same as, you know, a lot of the old guard here. In a decade, 2 decades or whatever, they're not going to be down. We're going to be losing some really cracking long-termers at some point. And it's weird to think about, really, a show without Roy. But
I know,
I don't think this is it yet. And if it is, it feels like it wasn't
weird.
the best exit.
Can I just say,
it's everybody gathered at a 2 metre distance from each other saying, aren't you great? And then he kind of is horrible to Nina and then buggers off.
It was too much of a big deal for a short absence, but it was also not enough of a deal for an exit.
Yeah, but then Emily Bishop's was also no big deal, wasn't it? She had a storyline that lasted, a week, that led up to her disappearing off to Brazil. So I don't know.
And I also want to say it's not in character either.
What
Roy's done here.
I'm thinking partly it is and partly it isn't. I think when Nina was standing there crying a little heart out, saying "Don't leave me, don't leave me," I think that Roy would have enough compassion to maybe change his mind. But it is, I do think it is very, very true to say that when he makes his mind up about something, he does it, and he doesn't like to waver. And he is definitely, it's very much in character for him to not be able to resolve all the issues with himself about lying. When he lied to the police a month or two ago, whenever it was, everyone was saying, no, Roy would never do that. And I was also thinking that, also in the back of my head saying, they're going to have Roy lie and he's going to be worried about it for a bit and then it will get swept under the carpet. But I'm really glad that it's not. I'm glad that there has shown to be very in-character consequences of him going against his moral code.
I guess so. But the thing is, though, I think if you look back at how traumatised he was with his mum abandoning him when he was young and then also abandoning him when Hayley died, I can't see him doing that to Nina.
Yeah, that's true. Sylvia went off for a bit, didn't she?
Well, Sylvia abandoned him as a kid, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
And then she left when Hayley was dying, and he definitely has mentioned this before as being a sort of example of her being a terrible mother.
Yeah.
So he's being a really awful uncle, and I guess in a way maybe he thinks he's like put a salve on his conscience by giving her everything, but he knows there's no substitute for somebody's
human
presence
warmth.
In your life.
I think they did quite a good job over the week of showing his growing discomfort with the idea that he lied.
I guess
it wasn't just like, this is a bit rubbish. He was driven to the edge, and that rant he had at one point about, I don't like lying, there's he said at least the truth is consistent, and lies you're always trying to remember and keep this story running in your head, and I can't do that. I thought that was really nicely written. I
think
I suppose the problem is, for me, is I wish that they hadn't in a way set this story up, because whatever happens, if and when he comes back, how are Abi and Roy going to be able to come through this? Because at the end of the day, they can't bring Natasha back to life. They're not going to have Sam go, oh well, I'm not that sad anymore about my mum dying, I don't really mind. So I don't know how in the future they can have Roy say, I have come to terms with what I've done. I don't know how, or Abi. I don't know how they can have her go, I don't mind anymore, unless they say, let's move Sam off the street. But they're not going to do that, are they? So it feels a little bit like they've written themselves into a hole for the sake of drama. Maybe I'm wrong. I probably am. I know that they've got some great storyliners on Coronation Street who plan things many, many months in advance. I just think this is a very, very deep hole that they've dug themselves into. Quite ironic considering the latest storylines developments we've had on the street. And sometimes you make your cliffhangers and then you can't get out of them.
Well, also, at a certain point, an actor says, I want to go. And you're at the point of the story where there's only a few logical ways to explain why they would leave, and you just have to take the one that makes the most sense.
Yeah, but I don't think he's gone. I don't think he has.
No, I know. I don't think so either. But
what would you like to see from a Roy exit? I
want him to die. That's the only way out.
Can we actually? Would you like a reunion with Hayley? The Hes
would
do it.
They can't do that. Yeah, I know.
I think it would be difficult to not have the comparisons to Jack and Vera, but the idea of him reuniting with Hayley would be quite sweet. But equally, I don't know whether that would be in his character as well, because he's adamantly he doesn't believe in an afterlife. He believes once she's dead, and actually having Hayley come back for him would be weirdly out of character for his final moments. But death does seem...
Well, it reminds me a little bit of what the story about Steve Jobs and his final words.
Oh yeah, what did he say?
Wow,
It was something...
wow.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like he saw something profound and life changing. Well, not that he had much of it left. And it kind of altered everything he thought he knew. That's the kind of implication of that story. Whether or not it actually happened, I don't know. But having something similar, like even if he just said, "Oh, it's Haley," even that, because you can explain that logically as his brain is coming up with something. It knows that it's the end. Your brain seems to do this as you're dying, your brain does seem to kind of give you things to comfort you and release hormones and stuff to try to ease your passing. I don't know why it does that. It's very nice. But it's not. There's no biological sort of evolutionary benefit to that, is there?
No.
Which makes you think maybe there's a spiritual aspect. But it'd be nice because you can say it's his brain just seeing things, or you could say she's an angel in heaven and she's come down to take him back.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think death would be a better one for him because, that there wouldn't be a dry eye in the house. And I think that this particular departure, people were a bit like, whoa, but it didn't feel really sad. And you joke about characters leaving in the back of a taxi, and it doesn't feel right for Roy.
I know, Roy feels like he needs to die heroically. Almost. Beating Gary Windass to death with a bat. Like he's always wanted to.
Yeah. Do you think that Natasha's death is either Abby's fault?
You were asking me if I think Natasha's dead.
Do you think that she's definitely dead? Could she come back? Yeah.
Weatherfield Jem was shut up!
Do you think that it's Abby's fault or Roy's fault or Nina's fault for not saying anything about it? Do you blame her, or do you like Sam and you think it's Harvey's fault and they should all stop getting their knickers in a twist?
It's really weird the way sometimes I'll get really, really intensely involved in the morality of a storyline. And I will take things like almost like they're real. Like the way I feel about Kelly, I kind of treat her like she's a real person. But this storyline, I'm completely checked out of it as a real thing. And I'm like, I don't even consider in my mind whose fault is it that Natasha died. Like, my thoughts are it was in the script. And she left.
It was Super Soap Week.
That's literally
it was quite exciting, wasn't it?
That's my thought.
Yeah.
Up until now, a completely unobserved thought that has been in my mind, without me really realising that was my opinion on it. But yeah, some things I get and I know that Coronation Street doesn't intend for me to think so deeply about some of these things, but I do. And then other things I just don't even have an opinion on.
Yeah,
honestly, I find this part of the story very boring. Whose fault is it? Oh, everyone blames themselves. Yeah.
Some things just happen.
Some of these things also, I feel as though they have to be written in. Otherwise, all these characters would be psychopaths. We have to have a bit of guilt and introspection and reflection from these characters because they're all supposed to be good guys, aren't they? We're all making deeply flawed mistakes and stuff along the way, and they all have in certain points in this storyline, but so they have to beat themselves up about it because otherwise we would as viewers sort of blame them for not feeling bad about it, but it's not that interesting to watch, honestly.
Right, let's move on to the next bit of the story then. So have a good break, David, wherever you're up to. Trouble free. So Kelly out on the streets with Stu on Monday, and he takes her to the soup kitchen. Now remember what we had in the notes earlier that we need to say here. So she goes along to soup kitchen, which is all that Billy seems to be doing at the moment, dishing up the slop. She sees him, turns around and legs it. Stu catches up with her later and she says, I used to know him, he was my mate's dad, kind of. She also starts then opening up about being involved in Seb's murder, because remember last week Stuart said, "Hey, did you hear about that Lorca was kicked to death the other month, and his scumbag mates who did it with him,
and that stupid blonde bitch."
Yeah, and she says, "That stupid blonde bitch is me." We're allowed to say she got called a bitch, didn't she, in the second episode tonight? We were warned that there was, like, it said there's going to be strong language, threat, and intimidation from the start for the second episode, and they said bitch. So she said,
"Have we got a limit to how often we're allowed to say it?"
I think there is.
I think we've reached it.
She says, "I was accused, didn't hurt Seb, want me governor." And he understands and says, "Oh, things happen, and here we are. We have to stick together."
Look, I'm going to say this. Like, yeah, I kind of agree with her summation of the events there, but equally, I thought we were supposed to be feeling sorry for how bad she feels about it, but she basically is denying any involvement.
Yeah, basically.
She's like, "It wasn't me, I didn't do anything." She didn't mention all the other stuff that, and they could have written that in if they really wanted to. And Stu would have, been forced to have said, because the script said, "Don't worry, we've all kicked lads to death." It's just hijinks.
So I think it must have been towards the end of this episode that Billy catches up with Imran and says, "Oh, I think I saw Kelly earlier. I'm not sure whether it was. She had her hood up." And Imran's like, "Oh, I'm going to find out. I think maybe I should be checking up with Laura about this," which is what we were saying last week in the podcast, isn't it? Why don't they just ask Laura, is Kelly actually with you, like she said? But never mind. So on Wednesday's episode, Toya says she's hitting nothing but dead ends with Kelly. Laura's not returning her messages. And Imran says, maybe it would be a good idea if I went over to Laura's house to go and see if I could find them. Literally, if I want to know where Kelly is, I know where she says she is. Maybe go and visit Imran. Well done. It only took you a few episodes to figure this out.
And on Friday, we had Ryan literally go to Alia's house to see if she wanted a coffee when he could have just texted her.
I know. But no, Kelly is not with Laura. Of course, she's still with Stu on the streets. He's bought her a big biscuit, not a cookie, she says. No, she
goes, "Oh, it's a cookie."
Yeah, that's right. He says it's not
Shut
a cookie.
up.
It's a big biscuit. We're
Don't
British round here.
Americans tell you what a biscuit is.
He's still coughing, and that still doesn't go anywhere, does it?
He's Tiny Tim.
Yeah, and she's pretty pleased with how they're pretty good mates together, and she says, "Oh, you're my guardian angel." He keeps trying to bring up all week, maybe you should go back to your friends and family. She's saying, "Oh, I love having you as my mate, Stu," and he's like, "Yeah,
but
lovely.
You've also got
go
people
home, kid."
Whose job is to, and this is what bothered me honestly. Again, Coronation Street, I feel like it's depicting homelessness as a choice that is being made on a continual basis.
Well, Stu doesn't seem to have any choice for some reason. She constantly has the
choice of whether to be homeless or not. And it's a decision that she makes. Every day she wakes up and she could go back, but she chooses not to. And I don't think that's fair on homeless people.
She says she's made too big of a mistake.
I just think there are other ways of depicting the real, genuine reasons that people find themselves without a home to live in. And this is not... obviously this isn't a story about homelessness, because there would be a lot of other things that were happening to Kelly. The fact that at one point she was she had 3 different blokes come up to her, trying to talk to her and get stuff off of her, and she was at no point in any danger of being sexually assaulted is very unrealistic.
She was at the hotel the other week, though.
Well, isn't that weird? She would be a target. Stu, I don't know if that we're supposed to kind of have it insinuated to us that that's what Stu's doing.
No,
protecting her. No, protecting her because he knows. But honestly, she's a little petite, beautiful, blonde girl.
Well made up.
Who is very naive, who has just found herself on the streets. She would have a blimmin' target painted right on her.
Well, she gets fed up of all his questions and nagging about going back home. So she says, "No, you tell me about you." And we get a little bit of backstory from Stu here. Apparently he used to be a cook in the Navy or something, does he say? And then he went...
In South America.
Probably sailing around the South Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, I wanted that maybe. And then he worked in a pub for a bit, and then he had closed with a COVID, and that sucked. So it's a nice little bit of backstory. Doesn't go anywhere. Imran catches up with Daniel.
Quite surprising that he didn't have any money from the government when everyone was furloughed.
Daniel.
I guess he was an independent contractor who was fiddling his taxes.
Anyway, yeah, so Imran catches up with Daniel. Is like, I have got a plan. I need you for this. So the plan is that Daniel is going to pretend that he wants to write a story from Laura about Kelly. And he kind of ensnares her and brings her along to the bistro. But it's just a trap, isn't it? Because while they're waiting there, Imran kind of schmoozes in and said, "Aha, I just wanted to talk to you. Tell me about Kelly." And Laura's like, "I haven't seen Kelly. I don't know where she is. I've moved in. I've got a new boyfriend. He's got a hot tub and everything. It's great."
Now, this to me was realistic. There are very many examples of people who are young adults who are kind of old enough to theoretically be independent from their parents, being pushed out of their homes before they're ready because their partners, their parents have a new partner who doesn't like them.
Yeah.
That is a story that is logical, and it would have made sense. Wouldn't it have made more sense to have Kelly move in with her mum very briefly, only to have Kelly go... Laura say, "You're not staying longer than the weekend, though, are you? Because Ray doesn't really like you." You know what I mean?
She would have still had the option to go back to Imran and Toya.
I guess so, but it just feels... It feels like a more authentic story of how people become homeless. People don't become homeless because they watched someone else kick someone to death, and then they went to prison for it, and then they came out of prison, but everyone still blamed them, and their foster parents couldn't take them in because they've also got a cute little girl who can't be homed with other children because she kills them in their sleep.
People get homeless for many reasons, Jen. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. Can I just say, I don't think if you would join a survey on homelessness, I don't think that would be an option. I think you'd have to write that in the other.
please leave a comment.
It's like, there's not enough room.
Right.
All these words.
So Imran's hit a dead end there anyway, basically. Meanwhile, we got Stu still going on to Kelly, still saying, "Oh, maybe you should go back to Imran and Toy. Go on." And Kelly snaps, says, "Look, shut up. No wonder nobody loves you. Just keep badgering on. Leave me alone. I don't need you anymore." And he kind of gets the message and shuffles off. Then she ends up the episode. It's just
like a movie where there's a cute stray dog and you kind of make them shoo.
Yeah. Kelly kind of ends the episode dossing down under some cardboard in the same place that she was at before, and then some bloke tries to give her some spice, which is the hot new drug of Manchester. It's what
I shan't have
a few years ago, doesn't she? She turns him down at first, but he's very insistent, this spice guy, and he's back on Friday morning harassing her again and saying, "Oh, a free sample of spice." And then who shows up to see him off but Jacob Hay. Lovely Jack James Ryan is back on Coronation Street, and again, sadly, this is something that was leaked to me. I found out this, not leaked, spoiled for me. I think I saw on Friday last week that he was coming back, so it was nearly a surprise when I watched it, but that's great to see him back, although he does only get one scene, doesn't he? Just telling this Spice Boy to do one. He's like, "Do you know who I am?" And then the guy goes, and Jacob says, "Look, you need to stay clear of people like him. He gives you free samples, and then you're hooked." That's a bit of a PSA, really. But then Stu comes up, calls Jacob a parasite, and then he bogs off.
It just really reminded me of that scene in Love Actually where Bill Nighy's character's like, Don't buy drugs, kids. Become a pop star and they give you them for free." So he would be saying, become homeless and you get at least one for free. I was thinking it'd be good... I reckon Kelly could be a hustler. Just go to a new area every night, pretend that she's a young, naive, newly homeless girl. Oh, drugs! I couldn't possibly. A free sample, you say? Oh, well, if you insist.
Yeah. And just moving on.
To the next mark.
It was good to see Jacob. It felt very oddly. I mean, I assume that this isn't a one-off appearance and that we're going to be seeing more of him.
It felt a bit like another PSA where he was like, "Oh, I have to deal because it's not as easy as you think."
I want to know what his situation is now, because the last time we saw Jacob, he was being ushered into a car by Harvey, wasn't I? Where he was getting some bells kicked out of him.
I know.
And we never saw any result of that, because he'd been selling... What has he been doing? Had he been cutting the drugs or something with some cheap stuff and then selling extra on I don't know what drug dealers do.
It makes me wonder what the fate of Henry is.
I know.
If you end up in the back of a van being beaten to a pulp, and then the next thing you know, you're on the streets being a drug dealer, is that where Henry is now?
I think we were kind of led to believe that Jacob was a little worse for wear after his last encounter with Harvey, but now Harvey's banged up. I suppose he's free to roam the streets once more, and he's not learned a lesson.
Jacob's wandering the streets of Weatherfield selling spice to little girls.
He's not spelling spice.
No, but I think he was. I think he was selling something.
Oh, maybe.
And Henry's wandering Chelsea trying to sell cocaine to businessmen.
Anyway, lovely to see him. It can't have been just for that scene. Let's see what happens maybe next week.
I think there's going to be some kind of...
I think that he's going to go back and try and be friends with Kelly for a bit.
Stu's going to die.
So,
That's my prediction. Stu's got some kind of like lung cancer or something, or pneumonia, or some kind of thing that has not been helped by being homeless.
Well, by the end of this episode, Kelly's living up at the poshest house on that side of the street, isn't she, number 7? So she doesn't need Stu anymore. But yeah, I think that Jacob's going to come back, and then he's going to get him, because Simon's kind of fancying Kelly at the moment, isn't he? And Simon and Jacob used to be kind of friends, but actually Jacob was just controlling Simon and getting him to beat people up in the backs of cars and stuff. So there's lots of potential for stuff happening there, but it doesn't involve having more Simon on the show, which isn't the best. So anyway, he goes begging to Nina, doesn't he, Stu, saying, "Oh, you know Kelly, she's sleeping on the streets. Can you help her out, please?" And Nina stands firm, as she has made the decision not to help out this vile Seb kicker. And Stu's sent on his way. So he goes back to Kelly and says, "Oh, I spoke to Nina." And she's like, "Why'd you do that? I told you not to go and speak to Nina." And he says, "Don't worry, she just needs time. She'll come round. In the meantime, let's get you sorted at a hostel. I'm going to go off and sort that out for you. Don't go anywhere." She immediately goes against that and phones up the Spice Boy for a hit of spice. It is a smoky thing, isn't it, spice? You roll it up. There was a little roll up on the floor, I think. So he finds
I don't know.
He comes back and he finds that she has well and truly spiced up her life, and she is totally spiced out on the floor.
Do you think this is what they say to each other?
Yes, that's the street lingo. He says, "Look, stay there while I get help. Don't move." And then she just gets up and shuffles off right over to Media City. And
she's really wanted a prep.
This scene here, I just couldn't watch because it was so familiar.
It's literally
location
just outside.
To me. The big building with the black and grey boxes, rectangles all over. That is literally the Coronation Street offices, isn't it?
Yeah,
we've spent a lot of time in exactly that same spot. The Imperial War Museum was where those boys were. All the cool kids hang around there, don't they? I think they just come out of the Imperial War Museum, and now they're waiting for autographs from the Coronation Street cast, harassing Kelly as she walks past.
Obviously, they've gone in there and they've looked at these displays about the horrors of war, and so they had to cool down and like chill out with a beer because it was just too close to home.
Yeah, usually I can overlook things that are a bit...
The trouble is...
Oh, that's not real. But this, I was like, no, they're just right outside the Corrie building.
The trouble is that the Coronation Street building has got such a distinctive exterior that it's instantly recognisable. There's nowhere else... There's nothing else like it. It doesn't look like anywhere else.
No, and then there's also like that bread factory, isn't there? The Hovis factory with the big wheat on the side. It was like, yeah, very difficult. But anyway, she kind of shuffles off across the grass towards Trafford Wharf Road there, but luckily for her, it looks like Molly Gallagher has finished filming for the day, and she comes out and oh no, it is actually Nina, sorry. And then Nina starts having flashbacks because these lads start harassing Kelly and pouring a pint of beer over her head, and Nina's going, "Oh, she's like me when the nasty people were going after me, and other nasty people are going after Kelly. We are the same."
I think this is quite good because they're filming this right next to the studios so that Millie can go and have a shower to get this beer off of her as soon as the scene finishes. No, they made her wear that beer hair for the rest of the episode.
They did, didn't they? Yeah, if only she knew that she just had to go round the corner a little bit and then she was back home. Get
security Dave to come and poke him with a stick.
Yeah.
Dave, help me!
I think that the locations manager, when they were picking this, where should we film this scene? And they just looked out the window and like, down there? Yeah, why not?
Look at those scallywags. Why don't we ask them?
Yeah, they probably weren't even with it in equity weather or anything. Right, so anyway,
this was a poignant scene, Michael. This was a very pivotal moment.
Nina starts having flashbacks, and then she says, "Leave her alone."
See, she was so brave, even though she was experiencing extreme mental distress here. She still stood up.
She was very conflicted, wasn't she?
She was going to leave at one point.
Do I save the person that?
I don't think she was thinking that. I don't know that that thought was going through her mind. I think she was just thinking, can I stand up for somebody, or should I just walk off, or can I just escape this situation?
Well, she is a good Samaritan because she goes and tells them to do one. She says, she didn't do anything to you.
There was lots of people inviting other people to do one this episode.
They were, weren't they? Yeah. She's crying, and I think they get a bit weirded out by her in the light. Right, I'm bored of this.
Then they say, like, oh, go back to the graveyard or something.
Yeah, they do. They go off, and Kelly comes over and says, "Oh, I'm so sorry." She kind of like slobbers in front of her, doesn't she?
Honestly,
She's
this
like,
was
bowels before her.
Such a great scene because she just starts crying.
It was
really,
a good scene.
Really heartfelt sobbing.
Yeah.
Like,
but she
so
was
many
right
emotions.
in the right position for Nina to have just booted her in the face, wasn't
Yeah,
she? With her massive Doc
She did
Martens.
such a great performance because she was. I felt like there were so many emotions in there. There was relief, there was regret, there was guilt.
There was.
She did such a fantastic. Both of them in that scene.
Yeah, I thought.
See, you were talking earlier about, the old guard are going to leave in 20 years. How many of these characters are going to be really realistically left in the show? Probably none of them. And when you look at the very young end of the cast here.
Oh yeah, we've got some villains.
There's some fantastic actors coming up.
Yeah.
To carry on.
Yeah. So they go and have a sit, don't they? Still waiting for autographs from the curry cast just outside the back entrance, having a coffee. There was some interesting editing there as well, wasn't there? Because there were some scenes where the camera, who was on the right? I can't remember. Let's say Nina was sitting on the right, and she was there on the left side of the screen, and you couldn't see Kelly.
Well, there
and
was
then they cut, and you could see Kelly on the right side of the screen.
Well, there was
I'm not describing this well.
Well, yeah, because normally you would frame it so that each character was on either end, either side of the screen, but instead of that, they filmed it so that each character was next to a big empty space, and obviously that kind of invokes feelings of isolation and separation.
Yeah, it worked nicely.
And also nicely hides the social distancing.
Yes. Anyway, she says they're having a coffee, and Nina says, "No, I was looking for you. Actually, it did feel quite convenient. I mean, we should be used to this in Coronation Street by now. That just when Kelly needed help, Super Nina turns up." But anyway, Kelly says, "Yeah, I was looking for you after what Stu said." And Kelly says, "Oh, don't be nice to me, not after what I did." But Nina says, "Look, after Seb died, I wanted to kill you, but now you can come back home for tea. I can help you." So she takes her back to number 7. She takes her back to the Allahan's house. Artie's there, welcoming her with open arms. We didn't have Devon this episode, did we? But I think
because he'd hit the roof.
No, I think he's okay with it. The last thing that we heard, Deb was saying, she can come. It was Ashley that was going to hit the roof, but she comes down, and it's a little bit awkward.
Well, she wants to get in Nina's pants, so she's like, I don't mind.
It's okay with Nina, and then it's okay with me, I suppose. Sorry, Seb. So yeah, Kelly has her dinner and goes off for a shower at last, and Ashley says, "Oh, this is the right thing to do, isn't it? This is what Roy would have done." They have a look at their WWRD tattoos that they got on their hands, and they agree to go and watch a film together later, or stay in and watch a film or something. Racy French lesbian films that Deb likes so much. So she's really
he's probably got a few extra ones just in case.
Yeah, just from his private collection. And at the end of the episode, Nina's at the cafe having a bit of a panic attack, isn't she?
Well, she is alone in the cafe.
Was this about Kelly or Seb, or just being in charge of the cafe?
This was about everything. This is another example of a character having a psychological response. So we've got Sam, who's been rendered silent by his trauma, and now we've got Nina, who's starting to have panic attacks because everything triggered her when she was trying to rescue Kelly, and I thought that was really well done because it wasn't heroic and kind of unrealistic. It was messy and scary, and she didn't kind of beat them back with her bat themed bag, did she? She like just kind of like mumbled, and they got weirded out and left, which is the best you can really hope for if you're a young teenage girl being attacked by a bunch of blokes. It's just, and then she's alone, and she wanted Asher to come, and when Asher didn't arrive, that kind of, you know, lifeline in this sea of darkness that she's found herself in was receding from her view, and she felt like she was drowning, and everything was pushing in on her, this darkness and loneliness, because she's been abandoned in a very real sense by Roy. And then the other person that she thought was going to come and help her doesn't turn up, and she was there earlier for Kelly. She rescued her, but nobody's come for her now, so she's alone.
She's got Asher?
And everything... Yeah, but Asher wasn't there, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
That's why she freaked out.
Yeah.
Because she kind of needs somebody to fill the silence.
I thought that it was okay done, the flashback scene. I don't really like that sort of thing.
What flashback scene?
Not the flashback, sorry, the panic attack scene. Where it was just zooming in
very,
at various
very
things. It was
standard, wasn't it?
Yeah, standard arty. Oh, it's a bit blurry and echoey
Clock,
and things.
sign, curry and rice, $2.75.
But yeah, Asher goes, and she's all right at the end of the episode, or is she? So this looks like this is where the story's going down now, isn't it? And I'm not surprised that they're going to focus in on how is Nina coping now. I hope Molly Gallagher... I think that they turned Molly Gallagher into the new Dane Danson. Are they just not going to give her a break ever now she started picking up the awards? Because this could go down another rabbit hole. I don't know how they're going to have this character single-handedly run the cafe. Who else works there? Is she now Alex's boss? Because we've seen him once or twice in the past 2 years.
Is she going to get rid of all the meat?
Yeah, maybe. Does anybody else work at the cafe now?
I tell you what, I don't
remember. It is pretty harsh on Roy.
Kathy.
Sorry. It's pretty harsh of Roy leaving her in the lurch like this. Yes,
exactly. I don't know. I don't know what the plans for Roy are. I think it would be a very big shame if he never came back, because Roy's Rolls is an institution. But I will say, it's probably the only place on Coronation Street that has been completely untouched and unchanged in the last
20 years.
Yeah, like there have been changes and things have been made different. I'm not really explaining myself probably. Almost every other set has had big changes and things have happened, or people have moved in or out. So the Rovers, the corner shop, you know, Brian and Kathy are in charge of the corner shop, the cabin. Yeah. The corner shop got a makeover not that long ago. The bistro's changed so many times.
Underworld,
you know.
Better.
Even though the Rovers, when Jenny and Johnny made it over, didn't change that much really. It still at least has had people coming in and out.
It's had a fire in the past 10 years, hasn't it?
So Roy's hasn't changed, and I really think it would be nice if they want to seriously put a lot of stock in these new characters and the younger generation, to have a change in Roy's roles. And I don't really want it to happen, but from a story perspective, because I don't like change, but from a story perspective and for keeping the show fresh.
In many ways, Corrie is stuck in the past with some of the businesses that they just keep on running at the moment. Think there is a resistance to change, so maybe...
It really makes sense to have Nina take over the Roy's and keep some things, but change a lot. And
I think that
change the menu, make it, you know, a bit more modern, maybe go vegetarian, because there's nothing like that on the show at the moment. It's environmental, you know, push that kind of thing.
Maybe she can turn it into a fruit smoothie bar and she can call it Nina's Nanas. That's what
Get Spider in to consult. Maybe he can
I just wonder whether can we kind of brainstorm any other names. There's not much you can do with Nina, is there?
I don't even know what her surname is.
Lucas. Lucas is... No.
You're asking the wrong person.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I thought we might be able to go somewhere with that, but maybe Nina's Nanas is the best.
And I don't have any capacity.
Any capacity for punnery?
No.
Okay. Oh well. No, I think, although I think that might be good for the show, it feels like they would probably want her and her character to keep it as some sort of tribute to Roy. I don't think Coronation Street likes making these changes. And that's why you still got the picture of Betty in the Rovers.
Yeah, but don't you think it's weird that every other set, would you have said, of all the things on Coronation Street, the most precious and unchangeable is Roy's Rolls? I wouldn't, but when you think about it, actually it is. It's the one place that hasn't changed.
Very, very, very similar to how it was at the turn of the millennium.
Yeah, and it's not realistic. The prices are stupid. And I know that it doesn't really matter, but it's one of those things where you just think, can you not just go in and put an extra couple of quid on all the prices in there? Because you couldn't... How's he making money?
They've even changed the decoration at number 3 Coronation Street now the Baileys have moved in there. Yeah. So if that can change, then surely Roy's can. But it'll be a sad day when it does change.
Yes, it will be. I agree with you. It will be an interesting and significant thing to consider as time moves forward if Nina does or does not make any changes to Roy's. I think it will show you something about where her character and where Roy's character is going.
But the thing is, she's been left this cafe. I think that she aspires to being more than... I'm not saying that, looking down on cafe workers or anything.
I don't think that's the career path of cafe owners listening.
I don't think that's the career path that she set for herself. She should be an artist or a fashion designer or something. And now Roy has lumbered her with a business. It's like, great, what am I supposed to do with this, Roy? Is she going to sell it on to somebody else, like how Sharon tried to sell the cabin on when Rita gave it to her?
But I can also imagine her turning it into a cool gallery or some kind of fusion of fashion and food, because I there are places like that where artistic directors have come in but then you're usually high-end places that sell things for more than £2.75 for a whole meal.
Corrie needs a greasy spoon, doesn't it? Because it's already got the bistro and speed dial, which are the swanky places to go to eat. You need somewhere everyone to have their breakfast every morning.
Yeah, and the milkshakes.
Yeah, so I quite like that idea, but I don't think it'd fit the show, and then it'd be lacking something.
And it would, honestly, it would have a weird vibe if people were like, oh yeah, I love a bacon barm. Oh, I like your bat statue. Oh, it's the Mothman, actually.
If she were to change it like that as well, they'd have to be investing long term in
That's
the character.
That's what I'm saying.
Nina,
that's literally my point.
Yeah, and I don't know whether... I don't know how long Molly wants to
That's
stay
what
in the
I'm
show.
saying.
It's taking a risk,
it will show you. It will be an interesting indication of what is going to happen with the actor, with the character, with Roy.
Yeah.
But I predict nothing will change.
Maybe instead of a cafe, she can turn it into some kind of hostel for homeless ne'er-do-wells. Then it can be called Lucas Aid. And that's my only other one there.
Well done, Michael. How long have you been sitting on that?
Right. Faye bail. From Jacob Hay to Ray and Faye. Gemma, you ready to speak?
Yeah.
Faye's out of jail. On bail. Faye'll be on bail.
I can't remember. Is she out now? Did it happen last week?
I don't remember.
Oh no, this week. Okay.
She gets let out on Monday.
So Tim and Craig...
God, it's not that quick. You've got to wait a couple of days before you get out of prison.
Well, yeah, they don't work on the weekends, do they, judges? Tim and Craig are badgering Debbie about Faye. And she's like, I don't know what's going to happen. Because Debbie's... It was her plan, wasn't it? To blackmail Ray, to get him to say that he sexually assaulted Faye, to give her the alibi for why she bashed Adam's brains in.
Yeah, and then for them to say, oh, well, that makes complete sense then. I'd have done it myself.
Why didn't you tell me that before? That changes everything. Free! The wheels of justice are very swift in Weatherfield when they realise that they've made a mistake, which is really nice and admirable. We shouldn't make fun. We should encourage this behaviour in all of our courts.
All kind of admin is pretty quick in Weatherfield, isn't it?
Yeah.
House sales, everything.
Yeah, business
PGCEs,
things.
you only need to do half a year for that. It's great. It's easy.
Maybe Coronation Street is ages in dog years.
You think?
Everything's just faster. Anyway,
apart from this flipping Zidane story, which is dragging like anything. Laundering takes a long time.
Yeah.
He has got £50,000 to get through, but come on.
And if he's only doing it in £40 instalments, saying it's a tip.
Right, come on, we're not on that story yet.
Craig's very excited about Faye coming out. Tim's on the phone. Oh, she's free. He's going to go and pick her up. Sonny finds Craig in the pub. He says Tim's going to get Faye. Tim brings Faye home. That's a lot of gumph for say Faye's out.
And Craig's put a load of yellow ribbon. Do they explain that? Does yellow
Do you not know what that is?
No.
Tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree. It's a thing that you put around. It's like a symbol of somebody returning from somewhere.
Oh, okay.
It's a very famous and well-known symbol.
How does Craig know this?
He's probably watched a film.
I
heard he's got a podcast.
Did this not set his OCD going?
He's over that now.
He's over that
Move
now,
on,
okay.
Michael. So he set up a celebration and she freaks out because it's not like she's free. She's on bail and she might not be staying out. She could end up going back inside.
But she's not, is she?
She gets really upset and she comes back down later and says, I'm sorry I freaked out, but I'm okay now. And then Craig says, I know what I want to do with you. Let's go to an escape room where you get locked inside with a bunch of people. She's like, locked inside?
We did a great escape room last weekend, didn't we?
Yeah.
What was the theme of it? It was
an Arctic
yeah,
research lab that was been invaded by an alien
aliens.
Force.
Yeah, we went there for Rachel and Lorraine's birthday, our friends, and we got locked in, and it was also a bit Stranger Things themed, wasn't there? Because there was a back to front upside down world with the crazy alien blobbiness inside.
Yeah,
quite a fun one.
It's very good because our friends are really smart and they're really quick. Every time we go in, we always come out really quickly.
Yeah, when me and you are like, maybe solve one thing if we're lucky.
And I'm normally the one that finds weird, like, because I'm get bored and I start poking around. I'm like, oh look, it's a hole. And then you're like,
Anyway,
yeah, so
Faye doesn't like.
So this is not a good idea.
Arctic themed alien space escape rooms.
Because she doesn't like being locked up.
No.
Which I think, she's escaped once.
Turns out that she wasn't in one of these Coronation Street holiday camp prisons. It was actually pretty tough. We just didn't get to see any of it.
And they scrapped yoga.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's embarrassing. Craig obviously can't relate to his girlfriend now. She's done time. Gary comes in, gives her a big hug. Craig wants to help Faye, but he doesn't really know what to do. They end up having to sit in the lounge, and she says, look, I just need time to get used to being free.
And he says, let's go for a walk.
That's what you couldn't do when you're in prison.
There's been this great new app out called Pikmin Bloom.
You should get it. You should download it on your bum phone. Oh no, you can have a normal phone now. On Wednesday, Craig goes to visit Faye again. She's had a lovely night's sleep. And she says it was very tense and noisy in prison, like it could kick off at any minute. And Debbie comes over and Faye thanks her for getting Ray to change his plea. And Debbie says, come back to work for me. You need a job, don't you? To pay back your something or other to do with prison. I don't think if I was Faye, I'd be clamouring for a job immediately.
No.
I'd say, I think I'm going to take a few weeks out just to chill and catch up with Netflix.
Although I suppose, isn't prison just chilling out?
I don't think
at
so.
Her Majesty's pleasure.
I don't think it is.
That's probably the slogan that they should have on the side of it.
Chillax.
Come in and chill out. Go and commit some crimes.
And there's like a picture of the Queen with a thumbs up going, you deserve it. Craig's like, I don't think this is a good idea, but Faye is all for it. So she goes to work, and she is chatting with Curtis. And I said to you, there have been so many illustrious wait staff at the bistro here. You've got, do you remember what's his face? Who was
yeah, Andy.
Andy, who was a novelist.
Yeah, vampire novelist.
And then you have Daniel, who's a teacher and
genius.
Yeah, a boy wonder. And now you've got Curtis, who is
Is that a girl?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It means like an innocent young debutante.
Oh, okay. I thought you could. Oh, I don't know. Is there a boy version?
I don't think boys are allowed to be innocent and knowledgeable about the world. Then you've got Curtis, who's a medical student,
yeah.
and Faye, who's
teenage mum.
Yeah, she's got life experience. Anyway, she's chatting.
The School of Hard knocked up at 13.
Oh my god. She's chatting, then she drops some crockery because the kitchen door slams and she's freaked out. And then she says to Debbie...
Prison was full of slamming doors.
It's not just that, it's also, this place is where she beat Adam nearly to death.
And where Ray raped her nearly.
There's a lot of bad memories there. It's a bad place to go. It's a stupid idea. She says to Debbie, I don't think I can work here anymore. And she runs out when Tim comes in and makes a joke about her slacking off. Tim and Faye are talking in Seb's garden and she's gutted about missing his funeral, but she was sort of busy at the time.
Do you remember? They used to be boyfriend and girlfriend.
No, I'd forgotten.
That's how Faye Seb came into it, didn't he?
Yeah,
he was
that's
Faye's
right.
boyfriend.
Tim says, I asked Debbie to ask her for her job. Ask her for your job back. And I shouldn't have done it. And she says, no, I don't mind. I just can't work there, but I do need a job. Then Tim says, why don't you work at the factory? You can replace Alina. She's probably didn't do anything useful.
What did I got no idea.
She was in sales.
Was she?
Hello, would you like to buy
Would you like to buy some knickers? You can replace Alina, but you do have to do the accent, Faye. I'm sorry.
And she's like, hello, I'd like to... I can always do French, hang on. Hello, no, hey, man. No, that's Jamaican. I can't do it.
Yeah, so great, hooray. Faye's walked straight out of prison and into a job. Isn't employment in Weatherfield easy?
No. Trial period.
Trial period, it is a trial period.
Which is basically what being out on bail is.
Yeah.
I'll let you out of prison, but only on a trial period. If you do anything naughty, you're straight back inside.
Yeah, so hooray. She's going to work right next door to where she lives.
What is Faye going to do in the factory? What is the factory just feels like the storage room for all the weird, boring characters that nobody knows what they actually do. Just shove them in the factory.
Sorry, Toya.
Like, I do sales. Yeah, well, Toya's better than everyone else because she got promoted, didn't she?
She did. She's
so
head of
whatever
sales.
it is, she's the best.
Yes. No, the factory is just it's a mess at the moment, isn't it?
It's a bloody stupid mess. There's no.
God, do you remember the days of Ivy and
We're
Vera?
just like watching
of Janice and Kelly.
Even just watching Danny Baldwin in charge of the factory with all the girls there. Literally, what is the point of having a factory that nobody makes stuff in?
No, but they are making stuff.
You don't see them.
You don't see them making stuff. There's just.
What is the point? Right, listen.
This is the worst.
It feels as though what?
This is just the worst that the factory in Coronation Street has ever been.
And it's been bad.
Yeah.
And it's been bad in the past.
There's no core group of fun factory girls that work there together and have a gossip. What's the point
of the factory? The factory is a place where characters can gather together. That's not another communal space.
It's not a pub.
And it unites together a group of mostly women.
Under a whip-cracking boss.
And they can have little workplace dramas. It's the only place on Coronation Street where there are lots of characters who can all have a workplace story. Whether it's like, oh, someone's stealing out of the lockers, or whose turn is it to put money in the milk kitty, or, you know, oh, we're going to go on strike again, oh, we haven't got any orders. All those stories can only happen in the factory. And another thing that it was really good at is just banter and camaraderie and this kind of really working class spirit of people working with their hands,
grafting
chatting
away,
and enjoying each other's company, or like bitching with each other, or having little petty spats and stuff. Just a really kind of very normal, very ordinary, very Coronation Street existence of people. And what is it now? It's a bunch of blooming like middle class salespeople who never do any work. Carla and Sarah socially distance from each other like a couple that wants to divorce but can't because they don't know how to separate their table, like having dinner with like the salt at two different ends.
And who are the factory girls at the moment?
There
don't
aren't
know.
any.
Does Fizz work there? Maybe.
It's really hard to tell.
If he works at home.
I know that COVID has
Sean?
made it so that this is basically impossible.
They can now though.
I'm sure that
I
really just need them to go back to everybody sits behind their sewing machines and they do work. And it's really unfortunate because the makeover of the factory coincided almost exactly with the beginning of COVID. And so we haven't even seen. This is the thing. In the old set, at least you could visualise where they would be, and you could pretend in your mind they could pipe sounds of sewing machines and people talking, and you could imagine, oh, just beyond that door there's Fizz and Sean and everybody else, and they're all chatting away. I can't even picture that space in this new factory. No. Does that even exist?
No, I know what you mean. They need to have some people working there that are Bolshy and Lippy and Gobby, which, you know, the nicknames that Danny Baldwin came up with for Karen and Kelly and Janice and everything.
Nobody's like that
Nobody
anymore.
is like that. They just have it's Beth maybe, but she's just a bit. She's not quite the same, is she? She's just kind of nasty. Yeah, that factory is on life support. I don't know what the solution is.
I've said before that I think that they should ditch the idea of being a manufacturer of things that nobody would buy in this country from them for the prices that they would have to sell it for. I don't know why they're so... I guess I do, because the textile industry is traditionally a very important part of the,
Mancunian
history. But it is history. I'm sorry, but it's history now. And people that live in Manchester don't work in textile factories anymore. Where do they work? I don't know.
Oh dear. So what?
Trendy wine bars and brunch or your endless bottomless prosecco brunch spots, as far as I can tell.
Just before we move on, Craig and Faye, feeling anything there? Are we supposed to feel any chemistry? Are we supposed to think that they are drifting farther apart and they're not right for each other, or they've been separated for so long and they haven't got anything common?
Where's the drama that was set up with Craig and this kind of
secret messages with the carrier
forbidden
pigeon
love affair that was brewing because he wasn't allowed to contact her because of his job? That was actually a really intriguing storyline that would have made it interesting in some way.
Maybe.
They've just forgotten that even
I'm just
happened.
not feeling any chemistry between Craig and Faye at the moment, and that they must be trying to make us feel that, because that bit where Gary comes home and she gives him a big hug, I mean, I don't think that she's gone within a metre of Craig since she came out. I think he's kind of realising, actually,
with the best will in the world, if you are a heterosexual male and you had no input, like physically, to the baby being put into the woman, but you see it come out, it probably will all forever traumatise you, and you'd probably never want to go near that lady in a sexual manner again. And I would say that was very understandable.
Was Craig there when Miley was born? I can't remember now.
I thought that they were together.
I know that Anna was there as well. Anna was there as well, wasn't she?
I know, but I just think that they've got a bond, a very special and unique bond, but I just think that whenever Craig looked at her, he would just see this big hole just getting bigger and bigger with a baby coming out of it, and he'd be like, I'm too young for this knowledge.
Right, next story. We're on to the short stories now. Cinemax first. So it's a bit of a stressy day at the beginning of the week at the Platt household. Matt's going off to school. Max is going off to school. Shona's telling David, you need to deal with Max, and David's like, I can't deal with him, he's gone off the rails. And then David is spotted by Daniel in the cafe, and he says, oh, Max wasn't in school today, what's going on there?
I'm going to say something.
Yes?
I really want to see a scene, which would be hilarious, with David and Gail, right? And David says to Gail, Gail, when I was a kid, I was a handful, wasn't I? And she'd be like, David, that's not even the half of it. And then he says, how did you cope with me? What did you do? How did you manage to deal with me when I was such a terrible, hard kid to cope with? And she'll say, David, you're coming to me for advice about parenting. That means so much to me. And he'll say, no, I just want to know what you did so I can do the complete opposite thing.
I'll let you walk all over me,
You were
Gail,
a terrible mum.
Don't
you think that would be just a very
that
funny
would be
scene?
Quite funny, yeah. But
and then Audrey can sit in the corner with a G&T going,
Are they still in London, Gail and Audrey? I've lost track now. I can't remember. It's been a long
they found Henry, and
yeah, maybe.
He's got this really nice stuff that you stick up your nose.
Anyway, so yeah, David's seen by Daniel in the cafe and says, Max wasn't at school today. Summer's there and says about the sinkhole video that Max filmed last week, that conspiracy thing, and says, dead insensitive. She's still really angry about this, even though I thought it was quite funny.
She just get over herself.
Seems like Max's video is spreading. It's gone viral, just like everything that ever gets uploaded to any social media on Coronation Street.
It's like you cannot escape notoriety online if you're
there are a whole bunch of influencers there. They've got a natural talent for it, haven't they? We've got Daisy's Instagram, exactly. Ash's videos, they're doing quite well. I hear as much as Dev's trying to stop it happening. But everyone wants to see Max's conspiracy video. The twins are still being sent to it by their friends and everything like that. Daisy hears about this video from Daniel later, and he's like, I need to get rid of it. Maybe I should have put the Daisy and Daniel stuff in here later. Maybe we skip to Daisy and Daniel next. So she hears about this video and he says, right, I need to get rid of this. What if Jenny were to find out about it? This video's going around that's saying about, oh, this is how Johnny died and everything.
He's a hero.
And Daniel says, that's true, but you know what? I see potential in this lad. This is an excellent film for somebody of 15 to make.
He's a documentary maker, the likes of which we haven't seen in this country.
Yeah. I thought the whole point of this video was that it was supposed to look a bit naff. Because it wasn't that great. I said last week that the script was alright, but the actual filmography of it...
Filmography.
Yeah, that's the right word, isn't it? It was a bit like... It was fairly amateur.
I thought it was good. I thought it was very good. I think he's the British Ken Burns.
Do you reckon?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, so...
or maybe the new Alex Jones.
He's seen a spark of talent in young Maxwell. And later on, David gives him a list of people that he's upset with his video, who he needs to go and say sorry to. And Max is like, no. David starts having a tussle with him, and of course the laptop gets flying out of the air, smashes on the floor. Max says, oh, I hate you, and storms out. And then Daniel sees David later and says, you know what, your son is quite a cracking filmmaker, actually. You should nurture this talent of riling everybody up.
I think it was quite good. I liked it. You're right, though. There was a big kind of amateur... The thing is, it looked... You haven't seen as many conspiracy videos as I have. I'm going to tell you that whoever made this video is also a big fan of conspiracy videos.
So he could make a video on whatever style he wanted to, but he chose to mirror the style of other conspiracy theorists and took on...
Yeah, probably.
Oh, okay.
That's what Daniel's probably thinking. He's like a chameleon of like cinematography.
He just needs to watch a couple of examples and then he can make his very own Schindler's List.
Show him Schindler's List, he'll love it.
Yeah. Next, what's we got?
Get him to listen to Sofa Cinema Club.
Oh, they didn't win an award, did they, this week, Sofa Cinema Club? They
got
to the finals, which is more than we can say we've done, and we've been going a lot longer than you, Jack Colson and Ben.
Yeah.
But yeah, bad luck. Yeah, of course we wanted you to win. But Corrie has won lots of other awards this week, which we'll talk about later. Anyway, Daniel finds Max in Victoria Gardens later and says, "Oh, you've got real talent. You just need to find the right subject matter. Why don't you do some nice think piece about the What do they decide to do to film The Soap Kitchen, don't they?
The Soap Kitchen?
The Soup Kitchen, I mean. The Soap Kitchen. And that's about it, really.
Maybe he should do a video about spice.
Yeah. Summer is told about this, and she thinks, okay, that's great, we'll be friends.
He could be the new Stacey Dooley.
I don't know who that is.
How about that?
Yeah. What happens next? Oh yeah, Daniel and Daisy decide they're going to spend the night together.
He could be the new Louis Theroux.
I know that is. Paul phones up or texts them and says, "Remember me? I'm a character that lives with Daniel. I'm going to be out all night." And Daisy says, "Is he now? Ding dong." I did like the delivery of that. And then they have a big old snog.
I haven't seen him in weeks. Why is he texting us to say he's not home?
I think that he's been kidnapped by something. He's being held hostage in someone's basement, and the guy's just saying, "Right, you need to text them. This is your excuse for tonight." Anyway, that's about it really for that story. I thought it was by the by. It's fine. Can't say the plats.
I don't know where it's going. I don't get where this is going. I'm confused about. I felt like it was going somewhere, and there was definitely some kind of dynamic that was brewing between Daisy, Daniel, and Max.
Before Kelly decided to come back home, I thought that maybe Max was going to be filming The Soup Kitchen and say, "Oh look, there's Kelly."
And look here, this woman who's fallen from grace.
He could still go there and film Dead Stew or something, couldn't he? And have and maybe Dead Stew, but no, actual dead, and his dead body is the next Instagram sensation in Weatherfield.
Oh, I've got loads of likes on it. I'm going to go back and take another photo.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't think you're allowed to put dead bodies on Instagram.
What about the Weatherfield version?
Maybe.
Right, let's skip ahead then, because I forgot that this story happened, and to talk about what Daniel and Daisy got up to on Friday. Do you wanna do this one?
Oh dear, the dark world of influencing. Daisy gets given a bunch of kids' clothes in the post for her social media thing, and she wants to dress Bertie up and take sneaky photos, and I'm just watching this going, okay, this wouldn't happen.
What wouldn't happen?
Right, number one, you can get sent stuff all the time, and you're under no obligation to post anything.
No, but she wants to.
But right, okay. The only reason that you would post something that would be of any kind of inconvenience to you is if you were getting paid, which she's not, or you wanted to build your relationship with a brand, right? So lots of when you first start out doing online stuff, you will get given loads of stuff for free, and that's not how you make money. You make money by selling adverts, by getting paid for sponsored posts and stuff like that. But you get your foot in the door by getting the free stuff and then posting about it. Why on earth she wants to build a relationship with a children's clothing brand, I don't know. Right? No. And so if I was her, I'd just say thanks for the free clothes. I decided not to post about them.
We have learned from Daisy that she's got a bit of an affinity with the kiddie winks in the last few
Unless
weeks,
she's like really thinking ahead here and going, oh gosh, maybe in 10 years time I can get my own kid and have some free clothes for them. The other thing is they're not going to send you free clothes forever. You'll probably only ever get one batch of stuff out of them.
Maybe.
Anyway, I was just watching this going, yeah, no, don't worry about it. It's fine. She would be getting stuff for makeup companies and cheap online rubbishy plastic clothes
Everyone
shops.
likes the pictures of Bertie that she's been putting up.
I can't believe her sexy selfies didn't get any likes. I also don't buy the fact that someone that looks like Daisy would get more likes from posting a picture of her with a kid than just like thirsty dudes liking her booby shots.
Thirsty dudes?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
What do you mean?
Thirsty?
Yeah, when you fancy someone, you want to slide into their DMs.
What? I've never heard this. Right, come on, what else happened?
That's because you don't know an influencer like me, Michael.
No, I'm not an influencer
anyway,
at all.
Daniel's like, I know where the perfect place to mark my year 10 essays is. The Rovers, because it's always dead. Oh, sorry, Jenny. It's very insensitive to me. So he brings his marking to the pub.
For heaven's sake, I just can't with it.
Well, see, exactly. This is how I was feeling about the influencing stuff.
Yeah.
Also, the other thing is, she wouldn't have been able to get away with doing it sneakily, because even if you get this for free, if you're doing it in return for any consideration whatsoever, whether that's a free thing or money, you still have to put ad at the beginning of the post. So she'd be like, Daniel, look at this picture of Bertie with a cute jumper. Why does it say ad at the beginning of it? Anyway, Daisy brings out the clothes and she's like, oh, look at these clothes I got for Bertie. And he's like, wow, these are so expensive. This one jumper costs more than my whole wardrobe.
Oh yeah, because she at first makes out that she bought them, didn't she?
Well, she like lets him assume that for a little bit, but then she finally admits that actually she... Well, first of all, she gets all these dings, doesn't she, on her phone because she's uploaded a photo of them.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Okay, right, sorry, I will admit this. That actually, I got them for free to get Bertie to wear them as like an advert, and I've also everyone thinks that I'm his mum. I don't know how that happened. It might be
when I said hashtag I'm his mum.
Yeah, basically.
That's my boy.
Daniel gets mad. She put a hashtag like only man in my life, didn't she?
Yeah.
Which okay. Unless you're like, this is my boyfriend, I don't think anyone's gonna assume anything different than you're a single mum. So Daniel gets mad, he storms off, Daisy goes after him, apologises, he forgives her, but then she shows him the photos and he gets mad that he's been cut out of them. What would it, like, if she was in the photos, he would get mad about that?
No, they're not the baby photos, though, is it?
It's a photo of her.
Yeah.
And he's like, where's me? I was there. Why did you crop me out? She's like, oh, I don't remember. And she's like, I took this photo. Number one. Number two, why aren't I in it? And she gets mad.
Daniel, you've been going out with this person secretly for months now. If you haven't followed her on Instagram up until this point, it's your own fault. Why did it take you this long to realise?
This is so weird. He's like, he's offended that he's not on her social media feed. Do you want to be?
I'm not on
She's
your
kind of
media.
like, no, because I don't think it's fair to put people in your Instagram feed if you haven't asked them.
Sorry, I'm just yawning.
I know you are.
I'm just a bit
but
tired.
like, he's insinuating that she is hiding him for some reason, perhaps, you know, to cultivate these thirsty dudes.
Yeah, she is.
But she just as equally could be like, well, sorry, I didn't think you wanted to be on the internet, but I don't mind putting your son on there. Anyway, you can't get me. It's not consistent for him to be mad about Bertie being in the photos and him not being in any. It's either everything's private.
They just wanted an excuse to have the two
He
of
just
them
wanted to have an argument.
Have an argument.
So then they go and have a fight, and she's like,
You're a massive snob.
You're a shallow cow. And she's like, you're a self-important prick. And they're like, oh, la, 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 la. Oh, it's just like...
Oh, forbidden passion.
This is like Pride and Prejudice. Which one are you? Oh, I think I'm Prejudice.
Oh, yeah, anyway, so... Wasn't that great? Oh, I kind of
thought it was...
kind of enjoying
it was kind
this.
of funny.
Right,
I felt
actually.
like a bit like it was just like Coronation Street doing a pastiche of like, if Jane Austen was alive now and she's writing an episode of Coronation Street, how would she get Daisy and Daniel to have a snog at the end? Because that's, that all these great artists that and novelists and poets and stuff that everyone venerates now and says how great they are, they were just doing what Coronation Street is doing now.
Oh, I know.
They were entertaining ordinary people with ordinary stories. Well, Shakespeare had a few fairies and kings in his stories. But at the end of the day, it is, it's all about people and how they interact with each other and the most common and popular
entertainment
shows and interesting things of the day that everybody considers to be throwaway entertainment that's, useless is the future, is art. In 100, no.
This podcast's going to be art in 500 years, isn't it?
In 500 years' time, people will watch Coronation Street at school, in classes about literature and about entertainment.
Social history.
It is. I'm sorry, but it's true.
Right.
So I think it was kind of funny, and I don't know if that's what they were going for, but I really did. When I was watching it, I was thinking like, yeah, this is basically one of those stories. But told in Coronation Street.
I didn't mind it. I'm liking Daisy more than ever at the moment, I'm very pleased to say. Right, Smoke and Maria's, not much particularly, because Roy's going off on when he tells Sally that he can't help out with the Christmas market anymore. As of tomorrow, he'll be otherwise engaged. And Sally's like, right, Maria, we need to call an emergency meeting of the planning committee. And Maria has to...
loving the return of Bossy Sally.
Yeah, me too. I think it's great. I'm not particularly enjoying the fact that she's paired up with Maria as kind of the straight guy in this, but oh well. They have a meeting together. Mary's there, relatively purposeless, I would have to say. I don't think she added that much to the scene.
No, but I definitely feel like there's the makings of a very interesting trio here. Not Maria so much, but... you kind of need her in there because Mary's the one with the folders and the ideas and the mood board, and Sally's the one who's like, ideas. How does this benefit me?
I wanted Aggie in there. I enjoyed
Aggie
her
was
when
fun,
she was part of
but
it.
I kind of would love it just to be a running joke that Aggie's like, look, I've got to go. I've got to make
casserole in the oven. What can I say?
I've got to make my peach and sardine casserole.
Yeah, they have their meeting. Maria says, "Don't worry, I'm sorting it with the council about closing off Victoria Street so we can have a Christmas market there." And
she's done it.
Yeah, she has done it already.
And Sally's like, "That's not how it works."
No. And then it comes up, and I didn't understand this, and it was not particularly interesting enough for me to pay attention to it properly. But there's somebody that's was fired from the council, and so there's going to be a by-election, and then maybe Sally's going to be up against Maria for some kind of election for something. But in the end, Sally says, "Maria, you can be my mascot," and she's like, "No, I don't really fancy that." And then in the end, she decides she does want to be a mascot because she can get her environmental ideas across. Is that basically what happened?
Basically, although it is very illogical. I mean, Sally's like, look, we basically have the same ideas about everything. So if we both ran, we'd split the vote. Let's join forces. But I thought the whole point of them was that they were diametrically opposed to one another concerning
one of them wants
the bypass,
which is a quite key issue in Weatherfield at the moment.
Maria's just completely forgotten that's why she got into politics in the first place.
Yeah.
It's all the fumes that's gone to her head.
Anyway, so nothing particularly happens there. It was just a few little light-hearted scenes. Same with the Zidane story.
I'm on board for any kind of Sally meddling in local politics.
Oh yeah, this was brilliant. Back to
although I keep
years
saying meddling in local politics, but actually what I mean is just being a politician. But I think that's what they do, isn't it?
So Zidane, that's not all. He does some laundering. He does some talking to Hashim in Victoria Gardens. Ryan listens in. We've heard it all before. Moving on.
That's
Grace,
it, isn't it? Oh.
Grace, that is it. No, we got her. Grace. She's just
being a minx, isn't she?
She is. She's getting up to no good with Aggie.
They've jettisoned the idea of in any way, if anyone thought or was under any illusions,
Grace is
like
gonna
I
be
was,
redeemable.
that Grace could be, you know,
She's a cow.
reasonable person, they've just completely trashed her character. Like, she's out on the town, drinking cocktails, taking advantage of Michael and trying to scam as much as she can of Aggie and Ed, and threatening them with blackmail to not see their grandchild anymore.
Yes, and she manages to get a sofa out of Aggie, doesn't she? Which she then proceeds to flog or talk to Bernie about flogging it, just so she can get a bit of extra cash for gallivanting around at night.
She should try grifting on social media with the kid.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they actually do have a baby grow business,
It's
don't
literally, yeah, she's got a baby grow business. I'm surprised she's not sending stuff to Daisy. She's got a baby. It's actually
Although
her baby.
I don't think that Bertie's a baby anymore,
and
technically.
She's also a single mum.
Yeah.
And she's renovating her house, which is also a massive niche on
the socials.
Yeah.
Okay, we are done.
Rainbow Inspo.
Who are we giving as character of the week this week? What score are we giving it? Gemma, any ideas?
As usual, I'm completely taken aback and surprised that you're asking me this, because I always forget that we have to do this.
I don't know whether to give character of the week to Roy, just because he's left. I don't think that's really enough.
Not fair.
And you know, he was a bit of an arse, leaving Nina in the lurch. Although, like I said, I think they did do a good job of having him stick to character and showing that he was gradually losing grip on things, and the only choice was, of course, to go to South America to cook for somebody. But no, I can't really pick him. I'm kind of going, George.
Surprise everybody.
Oh. Not R. Kelly.
Yeah.
What?
I still don't like her. I kind of thought, it kind of annoyed me that Nina again was burdened with this, the concept that she has to forgive Kelly for Kelly to move on, and it's somehow her responsibility.
I mean, are we all supposed... Is this Coronation Street saying, just
get
forgive
over
her.
it, for God's
We're keeping
sake.
her in the
Nina
show.
Nina doesn't mind anymore.
That's what I felt I was being told with this. If Nina forgives her, then surely everyone else can. But I think that Coronation Street might have underestimated just how difficult some people would find it to forgive Nina.
I thought the arc was very rushed, you know. She tried drugs once and they were really bad.
Yeah, she's been out of prison for what, 2 weeks now, and now everyone's forgiven her.
Yeah, it's all a bit rushed and condensed, but I just have to acknowledge how fantastic Millie Gibson is at playing her. And that scene where she breaks down after she gets rescued was so many emotions in one very short burst of emotion. I thought she did so well. I'm really chuffed with her performances, and I think she's great. I just hate Kelly, but I can see myself getting over it.
Yeah, I thought the what would Roy do bit, because Roy absolutely would and did take waifs and strays off the street, didn't he? Like,
I just really don't like the idea that it's the burden of the victim to assuage the guilt of the person who perpetrated the crime against them. I think that's a bad idea. I think that it makes people feel guilty. I don't think it's Nina's responsibility. There were so many people that should have helped Kelly before she did, but it was an important redemption arc because it's fictional and it's symbolic of many things, and it's, you know, it's a nice and hopeful story about, you know, even though, you know, and really it was a very good demonstration of forgiving someone actually is a benefit to you, because Nina let a lot of negative emotions go when she forgave Kelly, which I think is probably, in a weird way, what led her to her panic attacks, because she was caught up in hatred against Kelly, but then when that disappeared, when she realised that Kelly was actually just a girl like she was, who'd made mistakes, and who knows what situation, you know, I don't think Nina would have ever done what Kelly did, but perhaps Nina realised that there were just a few circumstances between her and Kelly.
Yeah.
And once she got rid of that hatred, then she's left with just fear. And now she's having the panic attacks and the flashbacks. Because she saw also, she built Kelly up as this big evil villain, and Corey's gone, Kelly's the only one left, she's free. But then she came and she saw Kelly was being picked on by someone else, which, you know, then it kind of opens this big concept that the world is full of predators everywhere you go, and you're not safe anywhere. And even Kelly, who is the predator of Nina, is being preyed upon by somebody else. So that whole kind of safety net was dissolved in that scene, and Nina is now adrift.
Nice bit of analysis. Hey, you got an English degree. I just want to pick George as my character of the week because he was really sweet and granddaddy to Sam. And George is kind of related to Sam, actually, isn't he? Because George and Gail had the shared great auntie Fanny.
Okay.
Nick is Gail's son, Sam is Gail's grandson. So yeah, there is a little relationship there.
I guess they are.
I just
related.
loved that scene so much when they were looking at the stars together. And he didn't have a whole lot to do this week, but yes,
it was very nice to see
Nina
him.
was awesome. Kelly was as well. I think that they really should be shoo-ins, but I do want to give real props to George and the writers who gave George something decent to do this
I think
week,
it was nice. It was a nice demonstration of the range of the actor, and also to show that the character is capable of lots of that, as they all are.
Yeah.
Really.
Tell you what, Tony Maudsley is also capable of doing, modelling Coronation Street merchandise from the ITV shop #ad, which is what he's been doing on his Instagram
well,
this week.
there you go. See, now I wonder, will they ever let Nina change Roy's if they're selling merch?
Oh, by the way, if you go onto the ITV shop at the moment, I think it's some kind of Black Friday thing. 10% off tea towels, aprons, and what's the other thing? What's the other thing we can get?
I think that's it, isn't it? Tea
there's
towels,
3 things.
aprons, tea towels, aprons, and totes.
Yes, that's right.
I really like the Roy's Rolls one because it's got like a fake leather handle.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Tony Maudsley. You were very good this week, and I still think, thinking back at this week's Coronation Street, I thought it was just kind of okay.
Yeah.
I didn't love it. So I felt that there were a few too many bits. Like, absolutely didn't need the Zidane stuff today. Didn't need the Max stuff at the beginning. I'm not too fussed about Faye being out of prison, although I suppose it had to happen sometime. All the Roy stuff I enjoyed. Sam was lovely. I'm going to go 3. I'm going to give it 3 Roy-based emergencies out of 5, which is what Nina was certainly having on Wednesday. What about you? Score, Gemma?
I'm going to give it 3.5 sausages at toad price.
3.5 sausages. Yeah. Nice.
I do love a nice toad in the hole.
Me too.
I haven't had one of those
I suppose
years.
this is another debate. Toad in the hole, self-raising flour or plain flour?
Well,
do you like your toad in the hole fluffy or not?
Traditionally, it is not made with self-raising flour. It's made exactly as you make a Yorkshire pudding. But you have a family recipe, don't you?
You do. My mum's
Your
recipe
mum has
nice
passed
fluffy
it down.
Toad in the hole. It is your recipe.
It's this is how I make it now.
Yeah.
Your mum's recipe, and it is a big, fluffy, dense, spongy, gorgeous, delicious.
She looks down on you and nods with a smile every time you make Toad in the hole, Gemma.
Yep.
Oh, we need to have that scene. Can we have some next week?
There's some sausages in the fridge.
I know what we're having for dinner one day next week when we're eating all the turkey.
I think turkey.